Chapter 929. Heaven Division. The island where the top military academy used to be had now been turned into the headquarters of the Heaven Department. On the cruise, Fong Ping stood at the bow of the ship and said suddenly, "The Heaven Division needs a guardian beast in the water. It has to be strong. This is to prevent people from spying on Tian Division when we leave." Bei Gongyan's face scrunched up. Demonic beasts. The ash cat seems to be preparing to feed the gopher, and the phoenix spirit the emperor-level beef. After eating it, perhaps the two will become a little stronger. Let the gopher enter the underground of the Heaven Division and be in charge of guarding the underground of the Heaven Division. The phoenix spirit will guard the sky of the Heaven Division. Bei Gongyan couldn't help but ask, "Is this necessary?" "Yes," Fong Ping said in a low voice. "You've seen for yourself what the Heaven Division is doing. The number of people they're arresting has increased, and the number of secrets has increased. Shun San and Li Yi are both imprisoned in the Tian Division. We have to prevent anyone from breaking them out." Bei Gongyan was dumbfounded. Rescue? There was no such saying. According to what Fong Ping was saying, he was going to arrest people in the future? Fong Ping looked at the island. After pondering for a moment, he said, "When I get back, I'll ask a few ministers to move the island another 100 li into the sea." This time, Bei Gongyan was even more surprised. In a slightly solemn voice, he said, "Minister Fong, you mean chaos is coming?" Fong Ping said calmly, "Earth may not always be so stable. The Great Peace Celestial Emperor had been killed, but the minister had never found where Great Peace Heaven was. Beyond heaven was the space passageway that connected the catacombs and Earth. Previously, due to the strength of the boundary wall, their passageway to the catacombs seemed to have been closed and sealed. But now, according to reliable information, the people of the realm beyond Avalon seemed to be able to connect the two realms, and they no longer needed to enter and exit from a single passage. In addition, according to reliable information, there are indeed passageways connecting the domains to Earth. Other than the destroyed Purple Cap Mountain, the other 6 domains, except for Mount Wangu, seem to have some unusual movements. They may be preparing to open the passageway to Earth. Bei Gongyan's expression changed. "Hasn't Gong Zhuanzi already left the mountain? He's the only one in the Kuokang Mountain. Why does he want to open the passageway?" "Not sure." Fong Ping laughed. "Maybe these venerable emperors are unwilling to be controlled by others. Now, the passageways are in the hands of humans and the catacombs. Both sides are paying close attention. Their every move is in our eyes. Since that's the case, it's naturally more convenient for them to open the passage themselves." Bei Gongyan frowned and said, "But this way, these experts will be able to enter and leave Earth as they wish. That's going to be troublesome. There are so many ordinary people in the world. If they casually release their aura, it could lead to the death of tens of millions of people." Fong Ping nodded and said, "This is indeed a huge problem. Moreover, I'm more worried that the catacombs powerhouses will join forces with the grandmasters. This will be even more troublesome." Now, there were signs of this. The catacombs powerhouses were not idiots. Now that these ancient powerhouses had appeared out of nowhere, they would not remain silent. "I heard that mysterious powerhouses have started to appear in the catacombs. A mysterious expert, some experts from the Demon Emperor's era." Fong Ping laughed. "The Demon Emperor God dynasty has been annihilated. Do you really think that only the 2 kings survived? The 2 kings were not all that the Demon Emperor God dynasty had. Back when the Demon Emperor God dynasty ruled over the 3 realms, the 2 kings had been nothing more than generals and overlords. Other than that, there were some other powerhouses, not just from the era of the 2 kings. After the 2 kings went into hibernation, there was a gap of more than 1,000 years before unquestionable Jian entered the catacombs. You don't think that these 1,000 years have been so peaceful, do you? After the demon emperor god dynasty had been annihilated, the two kings had led a group of people to escape to the current forbidden zone. After that, a war with the bounded boundaries had erupted. The survivors led by the two kings were not all that the earthly emperor god dynasty had. Overseas, there were still some remnants of the earthly emperor god dynasty. After the war in the bounded boundaries, there had been more than 1,000 years before unquestionable Jian entered the catacombs. Were there no powerhouses in the catacombs in these 1,000 years? The Life Kings and the others had actually been around for nearly 1,000 years. When unquestionable Jian had entered the catacombs, he had killed a large number of powerhouses. Many of the ancient antiques in the catacombs had been killed. However, some of them had not died. Instead, they had been hiding ever since. Bei Gongyan's expression grew more and more solemn. The world was going to be in chaos. But what about the civilians? 107 passageways had been opened. Now, grandmasters and the bounded boundaries were about to open passageways. More and more passageways were opening. The barrier between the two realms was now riddled with holes. Humans could no longer defend. When all 108 passageways had been opened, the entire bounded boundaries would shatter. When that time came, it would no longer be about defending the passageways. The two realms would become one. Today's line of defense might completely collapse. The more he thought about it, the more nervous Bei Gongyan became. Faint beads of sweat dripped from his forehead. Minister Fong, has the 3 ministries and 4 residences made a decision on this matter? Fong Ping nodded slightly. Let's wait a little longer. After this meeting, the 4 ministries and 4 residences, including the 6 great holy lands and the governments of various countries, will hold a high-level meeting. We will discuss how to deal with the upcoming predicament. As he spoke, Fong Ping returned to the earlier topic. That's why I said that we need to relocate the headquarters of heaven 100 miles away from the sea. There seems to be a grandmaster. They seem to still be in the catacombs and haven't opened a passageway to earth. But we have to be on guard. Heaven will be guarding this place and suppressing a grandmaster. It's not just us. The 4 houses of guardians and the 3 ministries might also relocate their headquarters, suppress the catacombs passageways, suppress the grandmaster or the bounded boundaries. But they have venerable emperors. It doesn't matter. Fong Ping smiled. We're mainly defending the ordinary martial artists in those places. There don't seem to be many survivors in the bounded boundaries, but there are quite a few grandmasters. The grandmasters aren't considered powerful, and the place isn't big either, but there are still 500 survivors. Some grandmasters might be a small world. It's not unusual to have tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people. When Bei Gongyan heard this, he could not help but sigh. Tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, I'm afraid there are quite a lot of powerhouses among them. Fong Ping nodded slightly and said, it's not just them. After this, the 6 great holy lands might open up to the public. They might even recruit disciples from the outside, like the Grandmaster. I've communicated with the people in Star Town previously. In Star Town, a few families seem to be interested in this. Nowadays, most of the people in Star Town are direct descendants of the peerless elites. Once the world is in chaos, there will be more deaths. These peerless elites can't bear to see their families' disciples die or get injured. All these years, they've saved up quite a lot of good stuff. Some of them have even recruited a group of disciples in secret. They might return soon. Bei Gongyan was not surprised this time. He nodded and said, we know about this. In the world of sects, some sects are actually passed down from Startown. Some of their founders are people from Startown. Fong Ping nodded first, then exhaled softly. This is only on the surface. No one knows how everyone has arranged in secret. Having said that, Fong Ping grinned. Others aside, do you think old Zhang has a backup plan, Commander Beigong? Did he really not make any preparations all these years? Beigong Yin did not care about how he addressed him. He thought for a while and said, "It's very difficult. Most of the resources that the minister has gathered all these years have been invested into the Wuhan military. If he really wanted to train a group of people, where would he hide them?" Fong Ping thought about it and agreed. He said, "Let's not think about this for now. Anyway, the Heaven Division's defense system must be established. At the critical moment, they might transfer a group of people into the Heaven Division. It's not that I'm being selfish, but some of the powerhouse's family members must be transferred. Nowadays, many powerhouses are fighting outside. Previously, Earth was peaceful, so everything was fine. The probability of something happening to their family members was not high, but now it's hard to say. Some high-ranked powerhouses' family members must be properly settled to prevent them from being used. Sino Nation has been accumulating for so many years. There are only so many powerhouses. If they're used and killed, it'll be a huge loss. We can't afford it." "I understand." Beigong Yin did not say anything. He did not have to care about this before, but now he had to be more careful. Ghosts and monsters had appeared. Earth was full of loopholes now. Some grandmasters also cultivated the path of vitality. Even if they mixed into the human world, they might not be able to tell them apart. Under such circumstances, everyone had no choice but to be careful. Fong Ping was still talking to Beigong Yin. Sun City, on both sides of the noisy street, in a tea house, a group of people had booked the entire third floor. A small half of Sun City's street area came into view. There were old and young people, men and women, in this group. After the waitress had served tea, they went downstairs. In the crowd, a young man rubbed his hair. He was not used to it, and said, "Master, why do we have to shave our heads? Our bodies, hair, and skin are given by our parents." By the window, a white-haired old man looked down at the street. He picked up his teacup and took a sip, chuckling. "When in Rome, do as the Romans do. Since the human world is like this now, then we should change too." But the old man did not wait for him to finish. He looked at the others and said, "There are secrets in the human world, big secrets. Ever since the opening of the heaven-human barrier, human martial artists' cultivation has been restricted. Under normal circumstances, human martial artists can't cultivate to true God level. But now, there are not only true God-level martial artists, but also emperor powerhouses." In the crowd, a middle-aged man said, "Senior, I heard that they all broke through in the land realm. That's not strange, is it?" The old man smiled. "That's right. They all broke through in the land realm. But in the human world, there have been many who stepped into the origin realm. The origin realm isn't that easy to achieve. The emperor once said that there might be some changes in the human world, making it easier to break through. Now, some grandmasters want to establish their own sects in the human world. They all want to test if that's the case. If that's the case, I'm afraid all forces will swarm into the human world. The seed of rebirth is in the human world. Maybe it's because of the seed of rebirth that the human world's great path is more obvious and has gaps. It's easier to peep into the great path. This great era is not only an opportunity for Emperor, but also for us. We can step into the origin realm, the true God level, and even the Emperor realm more easily." The old man's eyes gleamed as he said, "In a situation where spiritual energy is almost extinct, where cultivation methods have disappeared, and where only the most basic methods like the method of honing are passed down, where people can practice martial arts without any barriers. Is it really normal for so many divine realm martial artists to appear in the human world? The old man became more and more excited. Less than 100 years. There are more than 2,000 divine realm martial artists in the human world. There are more than 500 golden body martial artists and hundreds of origin realm martial artists. Is this normal? Hearing this, everyone frowned. The middle-aged martial artist said in a deep voice, "It took me 500 years to cultivate to the origin realm." And that was when there was enough spiritual chi and elixirs to peep into the origin realm. I didn't think too much about it before, but now that you mentioned it, it's indeed very strange. The old man nodded. That's right. 100 years ago, everything was normal. 1,000 years ago, martial arts in the human world were about to die out. The demon emperor entered the catacombs to prevent martial arts in the human world from dying out. However, even if the demon emperor opened the crack in the world wall and let some spiritual chi seep into the human world, it was still difficult to save the situation. Until 100 years ago, this situation changed. The new martial arts era began in the human world, and powerhouses kept emerging. It was related to the opening of the passage and the entry of martial artists into the land realm. However, according to emperor speculation, it's more likely that there are abnormalities in the human world. The seed of rebirth may have begun to move, and that's why the human world is now. The old man said in a deep voice, "This matter may be related to a few people. Shun, Chun, Zhang, Li Nin, Fang. These 6 people may have something to do with the fact that it's easier to comprehend the human world." Among the crowd, some were at a loss, while some were deep in thought. The middle-aged martial artist murmured, "China has 4 departments and 4 residences now, and these 6 people are the leaders of 4 departments and 2 residences." "Senior brother, you mean it's not my intention?" The old man said with a smile, "It's Emperor's order. Investigate. Investigate these 6 people's past thoroughly. Shun and Chun might just be a catalyst. They came from the blessed grotto heaven. This is not fake. The ones we really need to investigate are the other 4. Li Nancha, Zhang Taiqiang, Nan. I don't feel it obvious, but Fang, he rose too quickly. The increase in martial arts powerhouses in Sino Nation has a lot to do with him." As the old man said this, everyone remembered some of the information they had obtained earlier. Everyone nodded. It was indeed abnormal. The people of the new martial arts era did not feel anything. They all thought that Fang Ping had brought back a large number of resources, and that was why so many powerhouses were forged. However, they were not martial artists. What did martial artists know? How could illuminating God be so simple? But now, a large number of martial artists around Fang Ping had become illuminating martial artists, not to mention golden bodies and origin, especially origin. Was it really that easy to comprehend the Tao? Was it that simple? However, on Fang Ping's side, some of the people he came into contact with had stepped into origin quickly. This was abnormal. The old man's eyes wandered, and he said slowly, "Emperor said that Fang Ping might have something to do with the seed of rebirth. He opened a gap in the origin of Tao, making it easier for the people around him to spy on the Tao. The deeper the contact with him, the easier it is to comprehend. Chun Yaozu, Zhang Weiyu, and Nan Yunyue all entered true God after coming into contact with him. Wu Chuan, Wu Quishan, Li Changshan, these people were also influenced by him. They became stronger quickly, and their path of origin progressed at a tremendous pace." The old man continued to narrate, saying softly, "So, the place where he was born, the place where he grew up, might have some traces left behind." The middle-aged martial artist could not help but ask, "Senior, Is he the reincarnation of the demon emperor? Emperor said he shouldn't be. The old man chuckled. Unquestionable Sword might not have reincarnated. With Unquestionable Sword's personality, the possibility of him reincarnating and cultivating again is not high. Fong Ping is just a bait he used to distract some people. However, in Emperor's eyes, Fong Ping might be more important than Unquestionable Sword. Now, Fong Ping and Zhang. These two might be the key figures in the future. Zhang Bianxiang was too fast, and Fong Ping was the same. Of course, Fong Ping might be the person Zhang pushed out to divert attention. After all, this change did not start from now. It started decades ago. But that person is too strong. Even Emperor will not test him easily. We have two goals in coming out of Outland this time. First, confirm or eliminate the possibility of Fong Ping. Second, blend into the human world. As soon as he said that, the middle-aged martial artist nodded slightly. He also picked up his teacup and took a sip. He smiled. So we're all dressed like this now, just to blend in. It's also to fight for opportunities for ourselves. The old man smiled. We've been stuck in the origin realm for too long. Junior, don't you want to become a true god? Then if we come to Sun City, if we're discovered, won't it easily cause conflict? The old man smiled. We're just here to take a look. Someone is watching us in the dark. We're just here to take a look. Why would there be conflict? Coming here openly is more sincere than coming here in the dark. Shaving our hair and changing our appearance are actually expressions of goodwill. Coming to Sun City is to attract Fong Ping's attention. Maybe we can take the opportunity to get close to him. Previously, when Heaven recruited powerhouses everywhere, they did not pay too much attention to this person. Emperor did not want to be meddlesome and did not open the realm gate. Now that we're taking the initiative to seek refuge, won't it make people wary? Coming here will soon be known by him and others. Maybe we can see Fong Ping soon. Everyone present heard what the old man said. This time, there were more than 20 martial artists, old and young. It was not a small number. A young man heard that and frowned. Master, I heard that Fong Ping is extremely domineering. He's also extremely hostile toward Outland. Are we really going to take the initiative to find him? Don't be arrogant. The old man chuckled. Although this person is domineering, I've read all his information. His domineering attitude is only toward his enemies. What if we're friends? The old man was wise. He said softly, he also has some good friends in Sun City. They've also embarked on the path of martial arts. Previously, those who observed Tomorrow City ignored these people. That was a big mistake. When Fong Ping was in Sun City, he had received Tan Jinping's kindness. Observing those people tomorrow, he felt that this person's aptitude was mediocre, so he did not mind. Fong Ping did not seem to care about these people. What would happen if we took this person under our wing? Some of his good friends from the same time period, Yang Jian, Wu Jihao, Lu Ruoqi, these people are only average in strength now. The old man had obviously put in a lot of effort and investigated very clearly. He had information on some of Fong Ping's high school classmates. He could even name them. As of now, these people's abilities are very ordinary. It seems like someone in Tiannan has already contacted Lu Ruoqi and Yang Jian. When I went to Tiannan earlier, I sensed the aura of some old friends. If that's the case, our targets are Fong Ping's good friends in Sun City. The old man spoke clearly and logically. Then he changed the topic and said, "Don't tell anyone about this." There were some things that venerable sovereigns could see through, but the other venerable sovereigns couldn't see through because they were involved. Di Zun once said that the dragon transformation Heavenly Emperor might have seen something. If I'm not mistaken, some people from the dragon transformation Heavenly Emperor will also appear in the human world. Speaking of this, the old man was still a little proud. Some things it was actually not that they could not see through, but some people were already bewitched. However, the Jade Long Heavenly Emperor of Soaring Jade Long was an ancient venerable sovereign of the same era as the Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor. Previously, the Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor protected Zhongtao in the land realm. It very quickly attracted the attention of the Jade Long Heavenly Emperor, who was also one of the four Brahmas. Although the Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor was at the end of his lifespan after living for so many years, was he really so impulsive? Knowing that Chongrong was also an ancient venerable sovereign, was he really so impulsive to fight the other party to the death so easily? Did he not know that once he fell and Chongrong did not die, his Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor would soon become a thing of the past? At this time, the Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor should not rely on the power of his imminent fall to provoke enemies, but to befriend everyone. But the Dragon Transformation Heavenly Emperor did not do so. The Jade Long Heavenly Emperor made a slight guess, and there was the matter of the Jade Long Heavenly Sex people coming out of seclusion. The middle-aged martial artist waited for the old man to finish speaking, thought for a while, and said, "Senior brother, then we'll wait here now." "Wait." The old man smiled and said, "Our strength is not weak. If we stay here for long, those people will not be at ease. Coincidentally, I heard that the Heaven Division will be gathering powerhouses from all over Magic City for a discussion. I think they will notice us very soon. It's good too. We can take this opportunity to get to know some powerhouses from the human world." After the old man finished speaking, his expression changed slightly, very quickly. He smiled and said, "They should be here soon. It's faster than this old man thought. Yuqing, go to Sun City Commander House, find Tan Jinping, and ask if he is willing to become Jade Long Heavenly Emperor's disciple. Jade Long Heavenly is one of the four Brahmas. The Venerable Sovereign is one of the most ancient venerable sovereigns. This is the greatest opportunity in his life." Everyone had an expression of extreme approval. Jade Long Heavenly, one of the four Brahmas. Dragon Transformation Heavenly, Jade Long Heavenly, Chongrong Heavenly, Pingyu Heavenly. These four venerable sovereigns were also stronger and older than the average venerable sovereigns. Becoming a disciple of Jade Long Heavenly Emperor, if placed in the god and demon era, even some descendants of true gods would find it difficult to become a disciple. At this moment, a rank 3 martial artist becoming a disciple of Jade Long Heavenly Emperor was indeed a great opportunity for Tan Jinping. In the crowd, a woman who looked more shrewd did not say much. Very quickly, she walked down the 3rd floor and went to the commander house to find Tan Jinping. As for the old man, he looked into the distance. There, a rank 7 martial artists aura was coming. It seemed like they were about to arrive. People from Sino Nation had arrived. This scene did not only happen in Sun City. In Sino Nation, which had been peaceful for many years, some mysterious powerhouses appeared one after another. Some were alone, some were with their disciples. Some appeared openly, and some were hiding in the dark. Wind and clouds gathered. The absolute peak did not appear. Fang Ping once again became the focus of attention from all sides. Far away in Magic City, Fang Ping was still preparing for the meeting. However, he had also received some news. This time's meeting might not only be a matter of the 6 Holy Lands and the various countries' governments. When Fang Ping received the news, he was deep in thought. Perhaps some ancient forces were unwilling to be left out and were preparing to get involved. "All of you come." In Magic City, Fang Ping murmured. Whether they were friend or foe, it was better to show up than not. While old Zhang and the others were still around, it was best to roughly distinguish between the enemy's camp and his, in case it would not end well later. Chapter 930. Shanghai. Heaven Division. Above the island, the energy was dense, divine splendor lingering, as if there was mist rising. The martial artists who came and went in a hurry to get things done were at least rank 6. What used to be an ordinary island and an unremarkable top military academy were now like a holy land, a realm of immortals. During the last battle in Magic City, Fang Ping had obtained quite a number of mineral veins. He had buried all of them in the Sky Island. As for the powerhouse's salaries, they were paid once a year. Fang Ping was not afraid of not being able to get his hands on energy stones. He did not save anything at all. How extravagant! At this moment, on the island, many people were observing the Heaven Division under the accompaniment of the experts. The one who spoke of extravagance was none other than an expert from Suppressing Star City. The leader of the 6 great sacred grounds was Star City. At this moment, even the experts of Stellar Sky City had to admit that the Heaven Division was truly extravagant. Jiang Chao, who had accompanied them, curled his lips when he heard that. He mumbled, "You've never seen the world. You haven't even liquefied your energy. You call that extravagant?" Many people looked at him. On Star Town's side, Su Howren, who led the team here, glanced at the fatty helplessly. It's not easy to manage. The old man was very sad. Just last year, he had brought these kids out to participate in the youth tournament. They were just a bunch of rank 6 martial artists. In the blink of an eye, he had become a rank 8 martial artist. In the past, he could still hang this fatty up and beat him up. Now that he was a rank 8, it would not be easy to hang him up and beat him up. This time, there were many martial artists from Suppressing Star City who came to the island. It was the first time for many of them to come to the Heaven Division. Jiang Chao was an old acquaintance of Fang Ping's. It was only natural that he would tag along. Su Howren had hoped that this guy would be more reliable, but now he could only think about it. This guy was never reliable. In front of Fang Ping, Pudgy Jiang was very low-key. He did not keep a low profile in front of others. Even though he was being stared at, he said indifferently, "What are you looking at me for? Experience more. It's not that I want to nag at you guys, but you should walk around the catacombs more often. There's so many good places out there. Why are all of you holed up on Earth? Jiang Chao, how many times have you been to the catacombs? How dare you boast shamelessly?" The person who spoke was none other than Li Yiming. Jiang Chao was still arrogant as he said, "I don't care how many times I go to the catacombs. What matters is whether there are battles and whether there are gains. Although I haven't been there many times, I'm already a rank 8. Li Yiming, look at you. You're still a rank 7. You're a disgrace to the Li family." Li Yiming's face darkened. These words really made him want to beat someone up. This fatty was extremely arrogant now. Unfortunately, he was no match for this fatty. To be honest, no one in Suppressing Star City had ever thought that Jiang Chao would become a rank 8. When he returned as a rank 8, Suppressing Star City was on the verge of a riot. This guy could also reach level 8. Li Yiming was usually an arrogant person, but he also looked at strength. Fatty Jiang was stronger than him, so he couldn't be arrogant now. Li Yiming glanced at the arrogant Jiang Chao and felt a little helpless. This guy was extremely arrogant now. Arrogant, I'll let you be arrogant for a while. As he was thinking, Jiang Chao, who was arrogant and arrogant just now, suddenly had a face full of smiles. His smile was terrifying, and he shouted from afar, "Minister Fang, you're here. You're coming out of closed-door cultivation this time, aren't you?" Having said that, Jiang Chao's fat figure floated past, hurriedly rushing over. Li Yiming's mouth was agape. After a while, he scolded, "Bootlicker, this damned fatty. Isn't he being too considerate when it comes to food?" This his bootlicker was almost making people speechless. Fong Ping was still at the dock, a few hundred meters away. Su Haoran did not know whether to laugh or cry. "Don't mind him. This guy, I can't say anything about him." Although he said that, Su Haoran still laughed. "It's not a bad idea to build a relationship. Look at this kid. His improvement in this year is scary. In the middle of last year, he was still a middle stage rank 6. Now he's already a rank 8. This Jiang Chao guy, since the beginning of last year, had been trying to get close to Fong Ping and the others. Even Su Haoran was envious of this rank 8. As he said that, he glanced at his granddaughter beside him, feeling a little lost. This silly child, wasn't she on good terms with Fong Ping and the others last year? This Jiang family kid knows how to get close. This little fatty is a guy, and he's ugly, yet he can reach rank 8. This girl of mine isn't ugly either. Why isn't there a follow-up? Su Zissou, who was looking around, clearly did not know what her old man was thinking. After looking at Fong Ping and the others for a while, Su Zissou asked curiously, "Why isn't Li Hansong here?" Everyone looked at her in surprise. Su Haoran was also a little confused. When did his granddaughter get involved with Li Hansong? But it didn't seem too bad. Li Hansong was now a rank 8 6th rank powerhouse, and Su Haoran also knew some things that most people did not. This person might be the reincarnation of an ancient top-notch powerhouse. If he really wanted to be with his granddaughter, although he felt that the ancient experts were too old, reincarnation couldn't be considered as a previous life. Su Zissou did not care about all this. She said, "Wang Jinyang isn't here either. Aren't they always with Fong Ping?" The old master was confused by her. Why did it have to do with Wang Jinyang again? Who did this girl fancy? "Su Zissou, why did you think of them?" Su Zissou giggled. "Fatty said that Li Hansong likes a 10,000-year-old girl. Wang Jinyang has a young wife in her teens at home. I want to ask if it's true." Everyone's expressions changed in a myriad of ways. "This is why you want to find them." Su Haoran held his forehead, feeling a headache coming on. He said helplessly, "Don't ask about gossip with this fatty." These gossips were obviously not good news. His granddaughter wanted to ask him in person, which would put him in a difficult position. It would be even more troublesome to fall out with him over such a small matter. After all, everyone still walked toward the pier. The host, Fong Ping, had arrived. The conference was about to begin. On the pier, Fong Ping naturally heard Jiang Chao's call. He felt helpless. First place on the leaderboard, this damn fatty had the guts to say that. He might as well say that he wanted to first place on the leaderboard. Ignoring Jiang Chao, Fong Ping released his mentality as soon as he arrived. There were many people this time. On the island, there were no less than 50 rank 9 auras alone. Almost 1/6 of the rank 9 powerhouses from all over the world had come. On the small island, the number of powerhouses gathered this time was much more than usual. Fong Ping also sensed the auras of many Sino Nation powerhouses. There were powerhouses from various tribes coming. On the heaven side, Tianmu was waiting on the pier. When he saw Fong Ping disembarking, he smiled. Almost everyone is here. It's not good for so many powerhouses to gather in Sino Nation. When will the conference be held? Wait a little longer. Fong Ping smiled. There are still people who haven't arrived yet. I just received news that some grandmasters are coming. There are also some powerhouses from the boundaries coming. The boundaries? Tianmu looked surprised. Powerhouses from the boundaries are coming? Emperor level? No, below the pinnacle. Tianmu was surprised again. There are living people below the pinnacle in the boundaries. Among the 8 boundaries, Purple Cap Mountain and Kwokang Mountain did not have living people below the pinnacle. Many people did not know about Wangu Mountain at all. It seemed like no one had been there before. Could it be that people from the other 5 boundaries had come? Fong Ping nodded. There are living people in the boundaries. Actually, there have been speculations about this a long time ago. Now, it has been confirmed. The news came from the Department of Investigation Services. This time, people from 2 boundaries have come. Weiyu Mountain, which is known as the Second Grotto Heaven, and someone we are very familiar with, Taibai Mountain's Schwanda Grotto Heaven, has come. Taibai Mountain's Schwanda Grotto Heaven. At this time, Old Man Lee also rushed over. He said in surprise, "People from Taibai Mountain have come. The last time you went, did you see any living people?" "No, probably in the depths of the Sky Palace." Old Man Lee frowned slightly. "Speaking of which, we owe Taibai Mountain a favor, especially me. The Myriad Tao Unification Cultivation Method was given to me by the Lord of Taibai Mountain. Fong Ping, we have to be careful here. It's different from other places. Also, the Chun family might be from Taibai Mountain. Minister Chun and Guardian Chun are both closely related to Taibai Mountain. What do the other departments say about this?" The relationship between the Schwanda Grotto Heaven in Taibai Mountain and Hua Nation was indeed complicated. The Chun family was guarding the place, which meant that ancestral patriarch Chun was most likely from Taibai Mountain. The current minister of the 4 ministries and 4 prefectures was Chun Yaozu, and the guardian of the East was Chun Gaiam. Old Man Lee had taken the other party's infinite unification technique. Fong Ping and the others had learned the other party's 9 golden body forging techniques. Of course, the 9 refinements of the golden body wasn't a big deal. The key was that he had taught everyone the brain nucleus conjuration method. After that, a large number of martial artists quickly entered rank 8 and rank 9. This favor was not an ordinary one. At this moment, Chun Chi also arrived. Chun Chi, who was usually a man of few words, seemed to have received instructions. He said, "Both patriarch and second patriarch said that there's no need to discriminate. Just treat them as usual. The Chun family might have come from the Schwanda Grotto, but the patriarch and patriarch Zhang's situations are similar. The second patriarch's achievements are also due to neo-martial arts." Fong Ping smiled. "Don't worry. I know how to handle this." The one from Taibai Mountain felt pretty good. This is also the first domain lord that I've come into contact with, so he should be all right. The owner of Schwanda Grotto Heaven had given Fong Ping a good impression the last time. Of course, they had never met before. However, the other party had given him a cultivation method, and Fong Ping had received many benefits. That was enough. In terms of favorable impression, the Schwanda Grotto Heaven ranked first among the 8 domains. The second was Quichong Mountain, where Song Mao came from. Elvision also came from. As for Purple Cap Mountain and Mount Amaze Void, Mausoleum Grotto Heaven. Although Fong Ping had some contact with them, he was not familiar with them. As for how he should deal with them, he would have to wait and see. Schwanda Grotto Heaven, everyone had a headache at this moment. This family was indeed difficult to deal with. Whether he was a friend or a foe, he would have to wait and see. Everyone actually hoped that the Schwanda Grotto Heaven could become an ally of the humans. Otherwise, it would be difficult for the 2 top experts of the Chun clan. Fong Ping was also thinking about this, but he had a nagging feeling that he had forgotten something. It was related to the Schwanda Grotto Heaven. Forget what? Fong Ping was still thinking. Just as he had a clue, his train of thought was interrupted by Jiang Chao's wailing and howling. He could not help but curse under his breath. What was this damn fatty howling for? just as Fong Ping was thinking about the Xuanda Grotto, West Mountain, high up in the sky, a group of people was in a rage. The leader, an old man, scolded in a low voice, "When we go to the Heaven Division this time, find that Fong Ping. Don't say anything, just let him have a taste of our strength first." "Guardian, this Fong Ping is ranked 33rd on the excellence list, the old man shouted. "Then let's go together. I don't believe that we won't be his match, even if we work together." "How dare the people of the Heaven Division interfere? This guy stuffed a few monsters in and didn't care. We've been cultivating in seclusion for so many years, and now we've become slaves to feed monsters. Even the sect leader has a headache because of this. Shouldn't we settle the score with him?" Fong Ping had forgotten something. Now he understood. Monsters. Back then in the Xuanda Grotto Heaven, he forcefully stuffed a lot of monsters in and ran away after that. He did not consider anything at all. The old man said again, "Also, that guy moved all the soil in the outer sect." The old man did not know how to curse anymore. When they walked down from the Sky Palace and saw the potholes in the outer sect, they were dumbfounded. There were people snatching soil. The outer sect was full of holes. When they walked to the mountain gate, they did not even look at it. That was not all. In the Imperial River, the water was shallower. The old man was depressed. The sect leader could even tolerate this. He did not kill the other party. If it were him, if he was there that day and saw this scene, it would be strange if he did not kill the other party. The old man was furious. The others also thought of this at this moment and nodded one after another. They wanted to fight. This person was too much. They were making a lot of noise. In front, Du Hong, who was leading the way, was a little speechless. This was not easy to answer. Forget it. He did not care anymore. The person in question was here. It was hard to say. Fong Ping. And the others did get a lot of benefits in Shishan last time. He was envious before, but now that he heard about Fong Ping's evil deeds, Du Hong could not help but sigh. The last time Fong Ping entered the boundary zone, how did he ruin their mountain gate? As soon as these people from the Xuanda Grotto Heaven came out, they immediately began to inquire about the news, ready to settle the score with Fong Ping. Their resentment was very deep. Fong Ping had really forgotten about the monsters. As for the soil that was dug out, Fong Ping did not remember it. He had too many things to remember, so much. He remembered some things just now, but he was interrupted by Fatty, so he did not think about it anymore. At this moment, Fong Ping began to chat with the powerhouses from all sides. The people from the 6 sacred lands had all arrived, the representatives from each country. These so-called countries must at least have a rank 9 powerhouse to be considered qualified to participate in such a meeting. Some small countries without a rank 9 powerhouse could not even be considered a country. As for rank 9, although there were many people, there were more than 300 in the world now. However, Sino Nation alone had about 80. The other 5 sacred lands also had a lot. The rest were concentrated in some strong countries. On the contrary, there were not many small countries that had rank 9 powerhouses. After counting, there were less than 20 countries that were qualified to participate this time. At this moment, Fong Ping was representing the Sino Nation government. After a few words with some powerhouses who came forward, very soon the golden-haired powerhouse who was the leader of the Hall of God's Side asked, "Minister Fong, has Sino Nation confirmed the specific time for the meeting? I'm afraid there will be a decision on the King Battleground soon." Fong Ping laughed. "Soon. Wait a little longer. There are still people who have not arrived. By the way, if I may be so bold as to ask, is Mr. Zayli Callow here?" Zayli Callow. The golden-haired powerhouse's expression changed slightly at the mention of that name. After a while, he smiled and said he had other matters to attend to, so he couldn't come to China this time. Fang Ping smiled. Zélie Caro was not dead yet. Fang Ping did not know why old Zhang kept him alive. Could it be that he still hoped to use Zélie Caro to plot against Li Zhu once? It couldn't be that simple, right? Fang Ping thought for a moment, but he was too lazy to think about it. Zélie Caro had survived until now. Fang Ping suspected that old Zhang might have reached some kind of agreement with the other party. Zélie Caro might have become a link between humans and Li Zhu. Fang Ping exchanged a few more pleasantries with the other party. When he saw Rosés, he nodded slightly but did not say anything. A mere rank 7 did not have the right to converse with Fang Ping on this occasion. Fang Ping thought to himself, feeling a little smug. These fellows were incomparably arrogant back then. During the youth tournament, these people had even killed a few Sino-Nation martial artists. Fang Ping did not have a good impression of them. Of course, Sino-Nation had also killed their people, but Fang Ping had automatically forgotten about this. Fang Ping arrived at the Heavenly Division, exchanged pleasantries with all parties, and did not bother anymore. The other parties also arrived one after another. Black Brightness Sky, Observant Brightness Sky, Wuji Sky, and Thoughtless Sky had already sent people to serve in the Heavenly Division previously. There was no need for more people to come. These were 18 Shentian powerhouses. In the 4 Brahmas, on the night of February 20th, the old man from Sun City and the others arrived. This was a Yulong Sky powerhouse. In the wee hours, Wang Hanyu brought Wang Ruobing and some dragon transformation powerhouses and rushed over through the catacombs passageway. This time, 6 of the 22 outer heavens came. Out of the 8 boundary lands, 2 came. Those who came to Sino-Nation and Magic City actually meant that they wanted to cooperate. As for those who did not come, either there were no living people or they did not want to cooperate and did their own things. Of course, some people might not come even if they wanted to. For example, Chang Rong Tian, the dragon transformation Heavenly Emperor, was not a joke. In the previous battle, they did not manage to kill Chang Rong Tian's Heavenly Emperor. This Heavenly Emperor, who was about to die of old age, had really blocked Chang Rong Tian's exit somewhere in the catacombs. Now, he was preparing to live there for a long time. It looked like he had the intention of sitting there until the end of his life. Among the 4 Brahmas, Ping Yutian had not responded. It was unknown whether there was no one or he did not intend to come out. In the morning of the 21st, the people from Xuanda Grotto Heaven arrived. This time, Fang Ping took the initiative to receive the guests. In the end, when he arrived and saw the murderous expressions of the few people opposite him, he thought that the people from Xuanda Grotto Heaven were ready to find trouble. After chatting for a while and hearing the other party's indignant tone, Fang Ping then knew why the other party was unhappy. The few monsters that were stuffed in back then had nothing to do and would roar a few times in the middle of the night, disturbing these people's peace. Those monsters also had a personality that liked to fight. They often sparred in the outer sect, causing a lot of noise. In short, the Xuanda Grotto Heaven that had been quiet for thousands of years had not been quiet ever since Fang Ping left. At this moment, Fang Ping knew why these people were unhappy with him. After chatting for a while and asking about the other departments, knowing that the people from Weiyu Mountain were about to arrive, Fang Ping did not wait any longer. The meeting time was also set. On the 22nd, the International Martial Arts Conference would be held. The matter of the Martial King's battleground was officially put on the agenda. Chapter 931. In the blink of an eye, High Marshal had almost reached 5 million words, and it hadn't even been 10 months since the book was published. Old Eagle was still very reliable. Global High Marshal, taking a leave chapter currently in the middle of typing. Please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, Please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 932, February 22nd, 20th of the first month. The atmosphere of the year had completely dissipated. Heaven Division Island. A thunderous roar exploded in everyone's ears. Rise! A low roar was heard. In the next moment, a palace soared into the air. Hanging in the air, below the palace, Beigongyan, Qinqi, Tianmu, and Guoshengquan unleashed their mentality, condensing into 4 giant transparent pillars. Mentality solidification. Rank 9 powerhouses could not maintain mentality solidification forever, but it was not a big problem to maintain it for 3 to 5 days. At this moment, the 4 powerhouses' mentality exploded. Their chi was extremely powerful, condensing into 4 giant pillars in an instant, holding up the palace. The main entrance of the palace. Above the main entrance, 3 big words mixed with a smear of blood red, stirring people's hearts. Combat Heavenly Palace. The 2 rank 9s, Guanfu and Mei Lingfeng, soared into the air, following the main entrance, unleashing their mentality to the limit. In an instant, a staircase appeared in the void, leading straight down. The 6 experts hovered in the air above the Battle Heavenly Palace. The huge palace covered the sky. Below, some powerhouses exclaimed. Some powerhouses' mentality fluctuated. A young man transmitted his voice and sneered, showing off in front of an expert. Is it necessary to make a palace suspended in the air in front of us? In the boundaries of Outland, there was no palace suspended in the air like this everywhere. However, it was built by an emperor-level powerhouse. The human world martial artists were just imitating it, making a fool of themselves. Although the 6 rank 9s were strong, in many people's eyes, the floating palace supported by 6 rank 9s mentality could be destroyed in the blink of an eye, and the palace would fall if there were powerhouses deliberately messing with it. These outsiders discussed telepathically. The rank 6 martial artists in Heaven Division, on the other hand, were amazed. This was their first time seeing a palace suspended in the air. Ling Yi said enviously, "Where did Fong Ping get this palace? It's actually floating in the air." Beside her, Chun Yunxi was also smiling, looking at Fong Ping, who was also looking at the palace not far away. Fong Ping turned his head to look at Chun Yunxi, nodding slightly. He continued to look at the palace in the air. Beside him, Old Man Li held his sword with one hand. He did not manage to trick the Sky Destroyer. So Old Man Li forged another rank 9 divine weapon. Old Man Li held the long sword in his hand and glanced at the group of people not far away. He said, "Many people from Combat Heavenly Palace know about it. Will they go in?" As for the young people's comments, Fong Ping and the others took it as a joke. The reason why Xiao Chun had brought out the Battle Heavenly Palace today with great fanfare seemed to be ostentatious. However, that was not the case. There was only one goal. If they fought, it would not affect Demonic City. In other words, when the battle started, no one could escape. It was that simple. There were crooks and honest folk mixed together today, and no one knew if there would be any accidents. Fong Ping was confident that he could solve the problem below the summit, but he could not guarantee that the outbreak of chaos would not affect Magic City. If someone escaped and entered Demonic City, it would be a disaster. 50 to 60 rank 9 powerhouses. With so many rank 9s and a large number of rank 8s, even if a paragon could kill them, he might not be able to kill everyone in an instant. Some might slip through the net and escape. What Fong Ping had thought of, most of the people present had not. Some of them might not have expected that Fong Ping had already considered the problem of capturing all of them in one fell swoop before the meeting even started. A myriad of thoughts ran through his mind. At this moment, a few rank 9 powerhouses had already solidified the Battle Heavenly Palace. The tens of meters high staircase extended directly to Fong Ping's feet. Fong Ping suppressed the thoughts in his mind, stepping on the staircase, going up slowly. As he walked, he said, "Everyone, today's meeting will be held here. Please." Although Fong Ping's speed was slow, he still arrived in front of the palace gate in the blink of an eye. The palace gate moved on its own without any wind, opening without a sound. Fong Ping stepped in. In the crowd, some people looked at the open palace, suddenly feeling like wolves entering a tiger's mouth. A bloody mouth. That red door was like a bloody mouth opened wide, waiting for them to enter. Fong Ping entered first, but Bei Gongyan and the others did not. These people stood on both sides, as if they were welcoming the guests inside. There were many rank 9s by the side, giving people some pressure. Not far away, Prince Hongji, who was in heaven observation, was now accompanied by a few powerhouses who had just rushed over from heaven observation. Everyone looked at the palace in the sky above. Beside Hongji, a silver-haired old woman spoke telepathically. "Prince, this is the Battle Heavenly Palace, the place where the ancient powerhouse, Battle Heavenly Emperor, resided. True gods cannot break through." Hongji nodded indiscernibly. He had been to the emperor's tomb before and knew about the Battle Heavenly Palace. The Battle Heavenly Palace had stood in the emperor's tomb for thousands of years. According to Devil Swordsman, no one had opened it for thousands of years. Previously, Qi Huanyu and the others fought inside. So many rank 9 powerhouses fought, but they could not destroy the Battle Heavenly Palace. Qi Huanyu and Zhao Xingwu even unleashed their true god-level power in the end, and only then did they manage to penetrate the defense above the Battle Heavenly Palace. At that time, the heart had already been absorbed, and the Battle Heavenly Palace had no energy to support it. Hong Ji suppressed the throbbing in his heart and spoke telepathically. "It's okay. Heaven Observation and the Heaven Division are collaborating, and I have joined the Heaven Division now. Although I am representing Heaven Observation this time, I am still on the same side as Fong Ping." As Hong Ji spoke, he glanced at a group of people standing alone, not far away. In front of the group, there was a young man, handsome as jade, dressed in a brocade robe, looking heroic. Even if there were countless powerhouses at the moment, he was already eye-catching. Hong Ji glanced at him. The other party seemed to sense it, tilting his head slightly, looking at Hong Ji with a faint smile, nodding slightly. "Jiang Kue." Hong Ji did not speak, nodding in response, and quickly transmitted his voice. "Wei Yishen's Jiang Kue is actually not dead. This is beyond my expectations." This time Jiang Kue suddenly came out of the mountain. "I think Fong Ping is guarding against the people from Wei Yishen." "That's good. Maybe there will be a good show this time." Hong Ji's eyes wandered. Jiang Kue ranked 11th on the Wind Cloud leaderboard. Wei Yishen's Emperor's son. Wei Yishen's second Grotto Heaven, second only to Wangwu Mountain. Wei Yishen's Emperor Qing Tong was also an ancient emperor. The emperors of the 10 Grotto Heavens and the 4 Brahma emperors were about the same time period. This time, there were 6 people from the sky beyond Avalon and 2 from the bounded domain. Wei Yishen and Yu Longtian were probably the most noteworthy ones. As for Dragon Transformation Sky, Dragon Transformation Sky's emperor was still outside Changrong Sky, so he probably would not have too many ideas this time. The old woman also quickly transmitted her voice. The Star City's Jiang family seems to be from Wei Yishen. The Jiang family is only their orthodoxy in the human world. The Su family's King of Swords is the true heir of Wei Yishen. Wei Yishen has already made arrangements. Don't underestimate them. Among the 13 families in Star City, the Su family's ancestor, and the others came from the bounded lands. The other ancestors had their own origins. The Jiang family's ancestor came from the human world, and was a Marquis Zhou-yi. However, the Jiang family also had a heritage. The Jiang family's roots were Waishan. In other words, among the 13 families, 2 were related to Waishan. Hong Ji did not speak, feeling a little regretful. It was a pity that Master was in a deep slumber and did not make arrangements. Among the 13 families in Star City, none came from Grandmasters. However, there were many arrangements in the bounded lands. Beside Jiang Kuei, there was an old man with white hair and beard. This person was not from Waishan, but the Su family's second ancestor, Su Yunfei, who had been guarding outside Waishan's bounded lands for many years. Su Yunfei was ranked second in Sino Nation's origin ranking, second only to Kong Lingyuan. After Kong Lingyuan was seriously injured, Su Yunfei was the true number 1 person in Sino Nation, ranked 5th on the Wind Cloud leaderboard. In addition, the Su family had Su Haoran, who was also a powerhouse in Origin Path. This time, Waishan was the strongest among all parties. In the sky, the palace door opened. Fong Ping had already entered and disappeared on the stairs. Not far away, Jiang Kuei took a look and walked forward slowly. A group of people followed behind him, like stars surrounding the moon, following him. Passing by Star City's side, the white-haired Su Yunfei looked at Su Haoran with raised brows. Su Haoran bowed, slightly. Su Yunfei was the Su family's second ancestor and also his great-grandfather. At this moment, seeing that the second ancestor was looking at him, Su Haoran bowed in greeting and did not move much. Su Yunfei took a look at the other family's representatives in Star City and did not speak again. He followed and stepped up the stairs together. After they left, Jiang Chao glanced at Su Haoran and said telepathically, "Grandpa Su, don't let second ancestor Su get dizzy. Don't follow Waishan blindly. You have to follow the right people." Su Haoran glared at him. Jiang Chao did not care and continued, "Minister Zhang and the others are not to be trifled with. My family's ancestor has calculated long ago that you will only have meat to eat if you follow them. If you follow others, you will be beaten to death sooner or later." Ancestor Su has finally mixed into the ranks of neo-martial artists. In the last battle, Ancestor Su fought with his life on the line. Why is second ancestor Su following these old antiques for no reason? Su Haoran frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he said telepathically, "Second ancestor has been guarding Waishan for many years. Previously, he received some favors from Waishan. These years, Waishan's grotto heaven would sometimes give some benefits. Second ancestor can cultivate to this stage because of Waishan. This time, Waishan has come out of the mountain, so second ancestor has to take care of them. This is understandable, but it's better to take it easy." Jiang Chao did not smile cheekily at this time. He said, "Seriously, Waishan's emperor's son is ranked 11th on the Wind Cloud list. Emperor Qing Tong is also ranked 11th on the emperor list. They are both powerhouses. I think this guy didn't greet Fong Ping and the others when he came. He looks kind, but is actually very arrogant. I know Fong Ping too well. You are arrogant, but he is even more arrogant. You are easy to talk to, but he is easier to talk to than you. Yesterday, when the people from Taibai Mountain came, that old man pointed at Fong Ping's nose and scolded him. Fong Ping was all smiles. Grandpa Su, this is what you call liking. As for Waishan, it doesn't seem to be to Fong Ping's liking. This guy doesn't care if Emperor Qing Tong is strong or not. If he is pissed off, do you believe that he will directly mince this Jiang Kuei in Combat Heavenly Palace?" Su Haoran frowned slightly and nodded lightly. "Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. Did old ancestor Su have any instructions before?" Su Howard was about to reply when he suddenly looked at him and scolded in a low voice, "Get lost! Who are you to ask me?" This little fatty was still talking business with him with a straight face. Why was he acting all high and mighty? Jiang Chao's face fell. "I was helping you out of goodwill, but you don't know how to appreciate my kindness." Both of them did not have time to continue chatting. The people from Waishan went up. Soon, another force went up. The people from Dragon Changing Sky. This time, Dragon Changing Sky was led by a true god powerhouse. However, that true god was invited by Chun Yaozu for tea. At this moment, it was still Wang Hanyue and Wang Ruobing. Wang Hanyue's expression was cold, not saying a word. It was rare for Wang Ruobing to come out. She looked around, but there was still an unconcealable worry in the depths of her eyes. Her father was in seclusion outside Changrong Heaven, and Wang Ruobing was still very worried. After Dragon Changing Sky, it was Yu Longtian's turn. 3 rank 9s from the group of people previously in Sun City also walked up the stairs. After Yu Longtian, it was not the other grandmasters, but the powerhouses from Star Cluster City. Su Howard stepped up the stairs. It was orderly. The Heaven Division did not say who would go first, nor did they make any arrangements. However, these people were arranged by themselves. Waishan, Dragon Changing Sky, Yu Longtian, Star Cluster City, they were not ranked according to strength. Suppressing Heavenly King was ranked second, but Star Cluster City was not the first to enter. As for how these people were ranked, outsiders did not know. After Star Cluster City, it was the other grandmasters, followed by the people from Schwandegrado Heaven, and then the representatives from the other 5 sacred grounds and various countries. When these people entered one after another, the palace doors of Combat Heavenly Palace closed suddenly. There were still many people underground who did not enter. Some of them were foreign powerhouses and some Heaven Division powerhouses. Below, Ling Yi was still smiling earlier, but now she was a little uneasy, a little depressed. She said, "Yunshi, why do I feel like I can't breathe? Isn't it just a meeting? Why do I feel like some people can't even take a step up the stairs?" One should know that the weakest martial artists who entered were rank 7, and they were very few. They were all led by rank 9s. Ling Yi seemed to see some people's hesitation. Chun Yunshi was no longer smiling. Her voice was solemn as she said, "Those who came today are all representatives of Earth's forces." They said it was for the matter of the King Battleground, but in reality, there are some other interests to be divided. It would be better if Guardian Wu and the others were the ones to discuss. Fang Ping is the one to discuss. Chun Yunshi did not understand what Zhang Tao and the others meant. This kind of thing was not suitable for Fang Ping to discuss. Fang Ping was too young. Wu Chuan, Wu Quishan, even Bei Gong Yen, and the others were more suitable to discuss. But in the end, it was still given to Fang Ping to lead. With Fang Ping's stubbornness, it was normal for a meeting to turn into a big fight in the end. Chun Yunshi did not understand for a moment. At the same time, in the deep sea, Chun Yaozu, Li Zhen, Nen Yunyue, and Warlord had all arrived. They opened up a dojo in the sea area, using the sea as a table, and invited powerhouses from all sides. The 4 of them stood in 4 directions. Around them, there were also true god powerhouses from all sides. Warlord laughed and said, "Everyone, let the juniors talk about these small matters. We'll talk, eat, and drink. After eating, the meeting is over, and we'll do what we should do." As soon as he finished speaking, someone smiled faintly and said, "Divine Divination Lord." Warlord interrupted him and said with a smile, "Don't call me that. I'm not some divine divination lord. Call me by my name or Warlord. Divine Divination Lord is not me." As soon as he said that, someone laughed and said, "Since divine divination, Warlord does not want to talk about the past. Then let's not talk about it. Warlord, I heard that Emperor Tsang is in Magic City. We haven't seen Emperor Tsang for a long time. How is Emperor Tsang doing? Warlord was about to speak. Suddenly, the corner of his mouth twitched. The person who asked the question saw the corner of his mouth twitch and was slightly stunned. Then his expression changed slightly, and he wanted to move. At that moment, there was a loud bang. An incomparably huge black pot, somewhat similar to a frying pan, directly smashed the back of the person's head. Boom! The true god who asked the question fell directly into the sea, causing a huge wave. Then, the black pot disappeared. In the void, the phantom of a big cat appeared. The big cat seemed to be very angry, baring its fangs and claws. It raised the black pot in its hand and said angrily, "I'm about to die from anger. Once is fine, but twice, thrice, for 5 times. If you do it again, I'll stab you to death." The cat was really angry. It was sleeping well, but this person was always thinking about it. One moment, he wanted to snatch the divine artifact. The next moment, he wanted to force it to know where the heavenly realm was. And the next moment, it was something else. He even wanted to pluck its skin, fur, bones, and flesh. The cat also had a good temper, so it could think whatever it wanted. However, the distance between them was too close, and the other party's thoughts were endless. It could not sleep anymore. The cat was flustered and exasperated. It waved the black pot in its hand a few times and looked at some people in the crowd. Its face was full of anger as it said, "Don't think about me anymore. The big dog is dead, and all of you are bullying me." The cat was aggrieved and angry. "I don't want to care about you." However, these true gods were just next door. The closer they were, the more obvious the feeling was. In the cat's world, those phantom images were endless. One moment, they wanted to snatch this. The next moment, they wanted to snatch that. The cat was extremely annoyed. In the crowd, there was a powerhouse whose entire body was like jade. He smiled brightly and said, "You've misunderstood. Gray the Arch. How would we dare to offend you?" The cat glanced at him, its face full of disdain. Then it raised its paw and made a middle paw gesture. The powerhouse who spoke froze. However, the cat ignored him and looked at the war king. It said angrily, "Little fatty, take them away. If they stay here any longer, I'm going to lose my temper. Do you believe that I won't cook all of you together?" After the cat finished speaking, it ignored them and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Just as they were about to speak, the phantom image suddenly appeared again. The black pot suddenly flashed. The powerhouse who had just flown up from the bottom of the sea could not avoid it again, and was smashed into the sea with a bang. Still thinking, "I'm angry." Bang, bang, bang. A series of deafening sounds came out. The black pot smashed down again and again, smashing the physical body of the true god powerhouse in the sea until it began to collapse. Not only the physical body, but the powerhouses on the sea had a serious expression and quickly said, "Calm down, Gray the Arch. If you continue, his origin will collapse." Yes, origin. The cat used the black pot to smash the head of the powerhouse. After a while, many people noticed that the black pot was not only hurting the body, but the powerhouse's origin seemed to be collapsing. If this continued, it might really smash a true god to death. Everyone had a serious expression, very strong. This true god did not have much ability to resist. After being hit by the black pot, he seemed to be a little slow. Some people frowned. Even venerable sovereigns could not beat a true god like this so easily, right? Some people were vigilant, and some were at a loss. And a few hundred miles away, the original body of the cat did not come. At this moment, the cat was lying on the lawn and sleeping. In the cat's world, the cat held the heaven-punishing sword in his left paw and the God-restraining staff in his right paw. At this moment, he was dragging someone and beating him up. It was none other than the powerhouse who had been smashed into the sea a few hundred miles away. The cat's right paw knocked down, making the powerhouse dizzy. His left paw held the heaven-punishing sword and stabbed down, making the powerhouse's origin overflow. After a few times, the cat slapped the powerhouse into the black swamp with his tail. He put his hands on his waist and said angrily, "If you do it again, I'll stab you to death. I won't fight. If you bully me again, I'll call for help." Saying that he would not fight, the cat poked him a few more times before his anger subsided. He muttered, "So annoying, so annoying. The liar is so weak, and the fake human emperor is not helping me beat people. I'm so angry." In his anger, a large number of fish-headed demonic beasts in the cat's world quickly roasted themselves and entered the cat's mouth. After eating for a while, the cat completely calmed down. He muttered, and a moment later, a big pot appeared out of thin air in the cat's world. The cat looked at the big pot and muttered again. It was not a big fish, or it would have been stewed. Forget it, forget it. I won't hold grudges against you. If you think about it again, I'll let the dogs bite you to death." In the next moment, the cat woke up and smacked the Jiao with his tail. The Jiao was furious. "What's wrong? It was sleeping soundly. Why did this stupid cat hit it again? You're so lazy that you only know how to sleep." The cat looked at the Jiao dangerously, then suddenly said happily, "I have an idea. Puppy, I'll throw you to the deepest part of the Forbidden Sea. Swim back yourself. Swim back, and we can eat beef." "Woo-woo." The Jiao roared. "No, this cat is crazy. It wants to throw me to the deepest part of the Forbidden Sea." One had to know that the Jiao was only active in the periphery. The Forbidden Sea stretched for countless miles, and it had no idea how deep it was, but it had thrown it almost 10,000 miles before. Would it throw it a few 100,000 miles this time? The Jiao was anxious. "Damn it! No, no matter how lazy I am, I'm not as lazy as this stupid cat." The cat ignored it and pressed its big head with its paw. It covered its mouth and murmured, "You scold me every day, and you even want to steal my artifact. You even want to run away and steal my cat food to eat. You're so bad. Puppy, this time you have to swim back yourself. Once you're back, you can fight the liar." As it spoke, the cat had already dragged the Jiao's tail, dragging it towards the entrance of the Magic City catacombs. The Jiao clawed at the ground with all its might, causing it to cave in. It refused to go. "Damn it," the cat said happily. "Be good, it's okay. You won't die. I left you a lot of Dragon Emperors, aura. The real gods won't hit you. If the fake gods hit you, you can eat them. Woo-woo." The Jiao could not break free. In the blink of an eye, it was dragged thousands of meters by the cat to the entrance of the catacombs. The Jiao's eyes were filled with despair. In the distance, Fengling and the mole shuddered. This cat was too bad. Would the golden-horned beast not come back? Under their terrified gazes, the cat dragged the Jiao into the catacombs. The Jiao's shrill roar rang out. It did not want to go. There were too many demons in the Forbidden Sea. "Chef, save me." The Jiao's shrill roar traveled far this time. At the same time, Combat Palace, in the main hall, Feng Ping sat in the middle of the hall. Suddenly, he picked his ears. Was he hearing things? The Jiao seemed to be asking for help. Wasn't the Jiao with the cat? Who dared to provoke the cat on earth? He had been thinking too much. It seemed like he had been under a lot of pressure recently. He needed to pay more attention. Chapter 933. He didn't care about the auditory hallucinations anymore. The main hall was the only main hall in the combat Heavenly Palace. In the past, Heavenly the Archon had probably received his friends here and talked about the martial Tao. Previously, there were only a few stone chairs in the hall. At this moment, there were more tables and chairs. When the people from the Schwanda Grotto Heaven sat down, a golden body expert suddenly became a little sluggish and poked the old man. The old man raised his head and looked at him. "Senior brother, don't you think I look familiar?" "What?" The golden-bodied man pointed at the table and then at the chair. The old man did not expect this at first. Then his expression changed slightly. He looked at Fong Ping abruptly and almost vomited blood. "Ours. All the tables and chairs here are ours." Was this guy not embarrassed? It was one thing to be a bandit, but what was the meaning of putting it on display in front of the master? Above, Fong Ping looked at the old man's fiery face and was a little confused. He smiled and said, "Senior Xianhua, do you have something to say?" The old man's name was Xianhua, and he was also on the wind cloud list. However, some people on the ranking list only had names but no background. Fong Ping only found out that Xianhua, who was on the ranking list, came from the Schwanda Grotto after getting to know him. He was ranked 42nd on the Xianhua ranking list, slightly lower than Fong Ping. However, among the top 100 powerhouses, the top 10 were all extremely strong. The gap between the rest wasn't that big. Xianhua's expression flickered for a moment before he let out a soft snort and said nothing. He looked at the table again. The more he looked at it, the more familiar it seemed. This seemed to be something from the guest hall. Fong Ping saw him looking at the table and seemed to have realized something. He smiled and did not continue the conversation. "Whatever's in my hands is mine, of course. I have to keep a close eye on this old man, lest he takes it away." In any case, it was a table made from a rank 8 monster plant. It was worth some money, but it was also a facade. Everyone took their seats. Very soon, a few rank 7 powerhouses served tea. After delivering the tea, these Tian division experts all left the hall. Fong Ping did not leave too many people in the basilica. Fong Ping was at the head of the table, followed by Wu Quishan, Wu Chuan, and Lin Long. One represented the central government, one represented the 3 ministries, and one represented the 4 manors. In the entire hall, there were only 4 powerhouses representing China. But no one was careless. Outside the main hall, there were many experts. The 9th grade of the Heaven Division were all waiting in the courtyard outside the main hall. If there was even the slightest movement, these people would quickly rush over. "It's not easy for all of you to gather here today." Fong Ping was the first to speak. With a face full of smiles, he said, "Beyond Avalon, the land of boundaries, the 6 great holy lands, the governments of various countries. It's really not easy for all the forces to gather here. Hua Nation has been fighting countless battles in the past 2 years, but I haven't had the chance to meet you all. I haven't heard much about the movements of the various parties, so I thought that Hua Nation was the only base of the resistance." Many people's expressions changed slightly when they heard this. The first seat on the left was occupied by the people of Weiyu Mountain, who represented the blessed paradises. The first seat on the right was occupied by Wang Ruobing, who represented the realm beyond Avalon. Hearing this, Wang Hanyue saw that the surrounding experts were silent. She thought for a moment and slowly said, "We are in deep slumber in the sky beyond heavens. There are some things that we do not know." Fong Ping pressed his hands together and smiled. "I'm not blaming anyone. In your eyes, there's no difference between the catacombs and Earth. I'm sure all of you agree with me, right?" On the left, Jiang Kuei sat ramrod straight. He smiled faintly. "That's right. Minister Fong cut to the chase. We're all martial arts powerhouses. Let's get straight to the point. In our eyes, the human world, Earth martial artists, catacombs martial artists, are all people of the three realms. There's no distinction between us and enemies, and there's no difference in camps. Fong Ping nodded slightly and smiled. That makes sense. Everyone's standing in different positions. In your era, maybe the lives of Earth martial artists are not as precious as the lives of catacombs martial artists. It's understandable. Jiang Kuei smiled faintly. It's good that Minister Fong understands. Fong Ping did not continue this topic. He went back to the main topic. Today, the most important reason for everyone to gather here is the matter of the King Battleground. The King Battleground, which is also the graveyard of gods in your words. I think Weiyu Mountain and Taibai Mountain should know more about this place than we do. Fong Ping looked at Jiang Kuei and Xianhua, smiling. Both of you, before we get down to business, if you don't mind, can you tell us about the general situation? Jiang Kuei did not speak. Xianhua pondered for a moment and said slowly, then I'll tell you briefly. The Graveyard of Gods used to be the dojo of the two emperors, Tianji and Tianming. Tianji and Tianming. Someone interrupted him. Elder Yulong Tian asked with a slightly strange expression, were there two emperors? Xianhua smiled. They were the two temple masters of the demon god temple during the era of the earthly emperor god dynasty. They led the demons back then. So it's them. Now, the other party had no more doubts. Fong Ping asked curiously, Tianji King and Tianming King, weren't they originally called that? Of course not. Xianhua explained. They were originally the two temple masters of the earthly emperor god dynasty's demon god temple. Back then, they were in charge of the demons in the three realms. The demons' rebellion, the gods' mounts, these were all things that they were in charge of. The zoo director, Fong Ping, made a joke that was not funny. Everyone was cold. Below, Jiang Chao saw this and quickly laughed. That should be what they mean. Su Haoran glared at him. You're not qualified to speak. Shut up. Ignoring him, Xianhua continued. When the Earth Emperor God dynasty was destroyed, these two temple masters led their remaining troops and gathered some experts and survivors of the Earth Emperor God dynasty to escape to the current territory. Fong Ping had heard Gong Zhuanzi mention this before, but he didn't mind listening to it again. These were all secrets. Fong Ping knew, but the others, including some sacred grounds, didn't know. Only now did these people understand. So that was it. Soon, Xianhua talked about the war that broke out. Back then, we were going to use the Great Lock Dragon Formation to completely destroy the cultivation path of the earthly Emperor God dynasty. But in the end, something happened before the formation was completed. Xianhua said solemnly, it was the emperors of the 10 grotto heavens who proposed this. The core of the formation was also in the 10 grotto heavens. As a result, some of the formation eyes in the 10 grotto heavens were broken, which led to people attacking the grotto heavens and killing a large number of our disciples. Jiang Kuei said indifferently, the formation eyes in Weiyu Mountain were not broken, but Wanwu Mountain was the first to be broken. If you want to know, you can go to Wanwu Mountain and ask. Xianhua immediately shut his mouth and changed the topic. The formations I will only be broken after the battle begins. Now that I think about it, someone must have intervened secretly. That year, the war between the North and the South happened, and it was chaotic. At that time, Tianji and Tianming were cracking the earthly emperor's relics. It was related to the seed of rebirth and the great path of the emperor. At first, not all the emperors went, but the emperors who went first soon started a war. It was very chaotic at that time, and the emperors of the North and South suddenly started fighting. Xianhua said with a sigh, at that time, both sides had a deep grudge against each other. But before that, it was limited to those below the emperor level. Coincidentally, both sides' emperors were there, and they quickly started fighting. Fong Ping listened for a while, then asked how many emperors participated in the war. Xian Hua explained, back then, there were 10 grotto heavens, 36 grotto heavens, 62 blessed lands, 108 in total. I know what you're going to say. I heard that there are 72 blessed lands recorded now, but the extra 10 were probably added by later generations. These 10 didn't exist back then. 108 of them formed the formation eyes of the Great Lock Dragon Formation. 108 families and 46 Grotto Heavens Masters were all Emperor's powerhouses. As for the blessed lands, some of them weren't ruled by emperors. Among the 62 families, there should be 20 emperors. Therefore, during the peak of the sect, these 60 emperors were in charge. Everyone was shocked. 60 emperor-ranked experts. Fong Ping was also shocked. 60 emperors, and now only 8 are left. 52 emperor-level experts died in that battle. That's not the case. Xianhua shook his head, a little conflicted, but he quickly said, actually, after that war ended, there were more than 8 grotto heavens and blessed lands left. 1,000 years ago, there were actually 12, but 4 of them were destroyed. Unquestionable sword. That's right. Xianhua nodded. It's him. When he entered the land realm, not only did he kill some land realm powerhouses, but also powerhouses from the grotto heavens and blessed lands. The people from the grotto heavens and blessed lands also schemed against him. I'm not sure about that. Xianhua was only a rank 9, so he did not know about this. He continued, even so, there were dozens of emperors who died in that war. This was also the battle with the greatest loss after the destruction of the heaven realm. Even when the outer heavens besieged the earthly emperor god dynasty, there weren't as many emperors who died. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The entire land realm was bathed in blood. That year, we had already returned to the grotto heavens and entered a deep slumber. We don't know how long the blood rain lasted, but before we fell asleep, it was still raining. Xian Hua's gaze was complicated, unforgettable to this day. Of the 108 domains, a total of 96 had been destroyed in that battle. Before this, no one had expected it to be like this. Fong Ping sneered inwardly. After a while, he said, so many people died, but the sky and plant kings are still alive? So many emperor-level powerhouses went to look for these too, but they were still alive? Are you kidding me? Xianhua's expression was slightly gloomy. At this moment, Jiang Kuei suddenly said, the 2 of them are not the only 2 emperors left in the earthly emperor god dynasty. In that battle, there were powerhouses from the earthly emperor god dynasty who came to help in misery, but most of them were killed. Then why didn't they kill them? Fong Ping could not understand. They had already fought to this point, and there were still 12 territories left. Jiang Kuei paused for a while, then said, there are some things that you people of later generations don't understand. That day, at the end of the battle, every sect was in danger. The sect sent people over. Some powerhouses attacked the grotto heavens and slaughtered their disciples. The Great Lock Dragon Formation was broken, and the people were in chaos. Xianhua nodded. That's right. Not only that, in the end, the sect leader and the others actually sensed danger. Another group of people appeared. At that time, the sect leader and the others were already seriously injured. They wanted to kill Tianji and Tianming, who were also seriously injured, but powerhouses arrived, and they had no choice but to leave. There was a third party. Fong Ping raised an eyebrow. The cults? I think so. Xian, who said again, the war between the North and the South was also related to these people. They were the ones who stirred up trouble in the dark. They were probably the ones who stirred up the war in the dark. And the sect leader suspects that the 108 blessed grotto heavens were infiltrated by them. In that battle, a few emperors attacked first, causing the war to break out, and the war between the North and the South erupted completely. These people might all be from the cults. Fang Ping said emotionally, I didn't expect this. The cults that are not even worth mentioning in my eyes were so glorious, leading a war between dozens of emperors and hundreds of true gods. In the end, you just had to be tricked. Do you think it's that easy? Xian Hua didn't want to say anything. The situation at that time was already a mess, and it wasn't easy to stay out of it. Fang Ping smiled and continued. So, even in the end, you still couldn't get the Demon Emperor's relic? No, Xian Hua said again. The earthly emperor's relic wasn't actually in the hands of the two kings. The trigger for the war was actually this. That day, the two emperors threw the earthly emperor's relic into the space battlefield, which led to a large number of emperors, including most of the true god powerhouses, to enter the space battlefield. If it wasn't for that, the two of them would have been killed a long time ago. Because they threw this away, it led to the subsequent events. The emperors were all trapped inside, and in a frenzy of killing, no one was willing to let the other go. Fang Ping began to rub his chin. Old Zhang, is that you? Are you an old antique who has lived for thousands of years? Damn, the more he listened, the more familiar it sounded. Wasn't this old Zhang's plan? So, a few thousand years ago, in the land of imperial battlefields, someone had already done this. Moreover, he was even more amazing than old Zhang, luring dozens of emperors and hundreds of true gods into the battlefield, killing more than half of them in the end, and only a small half survived. This was what you called amazing. The leader of the evil sect, Fang Ping calculated in his heart, this matter could really be led by the other party. If there were no accidents, the two kings might also be a member of this huge organization, or they might be working with the evil sect. Thousands of years ago, these people had suffered a great loss. Fang Ping was a little worried about old Zhang's plan. They had been tricked once. Would they fall for it a second time? Fang Ping continued to listen and soon laughed. Senior Xian Hua, you mean the earthly emperor's relic is still in the space battlefield in the land of imperial battlefields? That's right. How is that possible? Fang Ping laughed. It's been thousands of years. Are the two kings idiots who don't know how to get it back? Xian Hua felt a little helpless at his retort and quickly said, in the war that year, the space battlefield was badly damaged. In the end, everyone escaped from here because the battlefield was too damaged, the space was chaotic, and it was extremely dangerous. At that time, the two kings were also seriously injured, so they wouldn't enter. As for later, even if they woke up, they wouldn't dare to enter. You've been to the graveyard of the gods, so you should know the situation. The origin of that place is extremely chaotic, and the entrance to the battlefield is actually in the cracks of the origin of chaos. If the two kings want to enter, they have to tear the origin of chaos, and then their hiding place will be broken. It hasn't been broken until now, which means they haven't entered. At this time, the golden-haired powerhouse from the Hall of Gods also said, that's right, His Holiness the Sun God also said this. The two kings probably haven't left their imperial palace. Once they leave, the origin of chaos in the land of imperial battlefields will be torn apart, and today's land of imperial battlefields will no longer exist. The Sun God also knows about this. His Holiness, the subduing king of Star City, should also know about this. Fang Ping nodded slightly. The subduing king didn't say anything, but it didn't mean that he didn't know. Since he tacitly allowed Star City to join, it meant that it was true, or else the subduing king wouldn't have let them come. Then, this time, everyone's goal is to obtain the Demon Emperor's relic, and the relic is in the space battlefield, right? Su Hauran also spoke at this time. The two kings have never left the imperial palace, so the land of imperial battlefields still exists. Right now, everyone is watching the two kings, and if they haven't fully recovered from their injuries, I'm afraid they won't leave rashly and break the final barrier. So, this is actually our chance. The reason why everyone is organizing people to seize the relic is to take advantage of this time gap, lest the two kings completely recover, enter the battlefield, and take away the earthly sovereign's relic. At that time, it will be difficult to seize it. After all, they are two top-notch powerhouses, and we don't know if there are other powerhouses still alive in their imperial palace. Once they enter the space battlefield, the scene of the past might repeat itself. Su Hauran said, pausing before continuing, Star City's intention is to go in first, get the relic, break the boundary wall, and expose the two kings to everyone. When that time comes, it will be their problem, and it has nothing to do with us. Fong Ping didn't care about this. Fong Ping did not care about this. He asked curiously, is the chaos origin so influential? Even emperor-ranked powerhouses don't dare to enter? Jiang Kuei glanced at him, saying calmly, do you know what the origin of chaos is? It's hundreds of incomparably chaotic great Tao, entangled together, broken great Tao, densely covering the entire world. The heaven and earth rule in that area has been broken. After so many years, it still hasn't calmed down. The great Tao of a true God powerhouse has completely manifested. Once they enter, the chaotic great Tao will affect their path. Actually, before this, as long as it's a martial artist who has comprehended the origin, they will be affecting the space of origin. But now that time has passed, the heaven and earth rule here has calmed down, the path of some of the weaker ones will no longer be affected. When he mentioned the chaotic great Tao, Fong Ping somewhat understood. The terrain of the battlefield of the kings had been changing, and he somewhat understood why. The Tao of origin was also a manifestation of willpower. Strong willpower, chaotic beyond compare, actually also affected the judgment of the weaker ones. Perhaps the terrain of the battlefield of the kings had not actually changed. The only thing that changed was what you saw. Generally understanding everything, Fong Ping laughed. Are you sure the two kings won't make a move? Everyone frowned slightly. Below, Hongji interrupted. Probably not. Once they make a move, they will automatically break the origin of chaos. But I heard that there are some living dead true gods there. Without the Tao of origin, they are similar to emperor corpses. They might really be emperor corpses. These emperor corpses are extremely powerful. Jiang Kuei said in a low voice, that's why more people are needed to deal with these powerhouses who died in battle back then. Otherwise, one side can just go alone. Why go through so much trouble? Back then, there were dozens of emperors who died in battle, hundreds of true gods, who knew how many corpses the two kings had collected. This place was much more dangerous than unquestionable Jian's emperor's tomb. Not only emperor corpses, but also true god corpses. There were also a large number of rank 9 and rank 8 powerhouses who died in battle. The entire sect era's elites were almost wiped out in one fell swoop in this place. If not for these concerns, the catacombs might have arranged for people to enter long ago. In these years of exploring the battlefield of the kings, the catacombs had collected a lot of information. Back then, an emperor corpse appeared and killed many rank 9s. That was just the tip of the iceberg. The emperor corpses that unquestionable Jian cultivated were actually not complete. Their energy had long dissipated. Unquestionable Jian used Heavenly Emperor Zhan's heart to cultivate the corpses, actually connecting the emperor corpses and the heart together. If the heart was not broken that day, these emperor corpses might really be able to recover to emperor-level strength. Unfortunately, it was broken later, which was why these emperor corpses did not continue to recover. Even so, Qi Huanyu and the rest could not take down the emperor corpses. It was clear from this. So, everyone has come out this time? Fang Ping laughed. But I still have to make it clear. How many earthly emperor's relics are there? How many? Everyone has come out, probably for this reason. Now we're discussing about cooperation. What's the end? Fang Ping said to himself, how many people will each side send? Who will deal with those living dead? Who will deal with the catacombs powerhouses? Honestly, it's a mess. It's better not to cooperate, each doing their own thing. It's not easy for a group of martial artists who are not of one mind to accomplish one thing. Don't be afraid of godlike opponents, but be afraid of pig-like teammates. I've seen this too many times. Over at the catacombs, there are too many pig-like teammates. It's not the first time that our own people hurt our own people. The original strength of 100 people, when scattered, is still 100 people. When gathered together, they can't even compare to 10 people. Fang Ping said mockingly, what we're looking at is not the number of people, but the unity. If there are too many pig-like teammates, they will only hold us back. Everyone looked at him, one after another. His words were unclear. There was the possibility of everyone being scolded while pointing at the mulberry tree. Fang Ping ignored them. He picked up his teacup and took a sip, smiling faintly. Don't look at me like that. I'm just saying the truth. If we can't even accept this, how can we cooperate? On Yu Longtian's side, the weathered old man chuckled softly. Then, Minister Fang's intention is to recommend a leader? Since everyone is here, don't tell me you don't have this intention? Fang Ping said amusedly. If you don't have this intention, why are you still here? Take Yu Longtian and Wei Yishan, for example. If you don't have this intention, you might as well go alone. Is there a need to form a clique? A straightforward person does not resort to insinuations. Everyone is well aware of it, so there's no need to pretend to be ignorant. As Fang Ping said that, he continued, the catacombs are not easy to deal with. There are thousands of rank, 9 powerhouses in the 4 majestic halls and the outer domain. Plus, some grandmasters are in the catacombs. They might even cooperate with the catacombs. Out of the 500 people on the ranking list, more than half might come this time. They're all powerhouses. If they come in groups of 3 to 5, they won't even know how they died. Also, will the Forbidden Sea intervene this time? There are many powerhouses in the Forbidden Sea's demon clan too. Now, rank 9s are everywhere. All kinds of monsters and demons have appeared. Minister Fang's intention is to elect one party as the leader this time, and the 4 parties will respect that party. Fang Ping chuckled. No, I don't mean that. What I mean is, this time Sino Nation will lead. Everyone should listen to it. Everyone did not pay attention to the first half of his sentence. When Fang Ping said the second half, everyone's expression changed slightly. This fellow had no intention of concealing it at all. Too direct. So direct that it made people at a loss. Did anyone not understand what he meant? It was not a discussion. It was to tell everyone that Sino Nation would lead this time. Everyone just had to listen to it. What recommendation? There was no need for that. Beside Fang Ping, Wu Quishan, and the rest also looked at Fang Ping. Wu Quishan smiled bitterly. This kid was really direct. Could he at least be more tactful? If he said that, would everyone agree to it? This was actually a great opportunity. Wu Quishan did not care about the treasures. What he cared about was there would be many catacombs rank 9s entering this time. Kill as many as you can. The catacombs' strength and human strength were too unbalanced. The high-end strength was still fine. Now that Grandmasters, Borderlands, and overseas immortal islands had appeared, these powerhouses would become the balance point. However, Other than these top-notch strength, the gap between rank 9 was also frighteningly huge. Humans only had about 300 rank 9s in the entire world. What about the catacombs? What about the Forbidden Sea? They were so many that it was terrifying. In the 108 outer domains alone, there were close to 2,000 rank 9s. The last time they killed more than 100 rank 9s, the catacombs did not actually suffer a huge loss. Wu Quishen's idea was to unite all parties this time. It did not matter even if they did not become the leader. The key was to borrow strength to fight strength, to borrow strength from all parties to kill the catacombs' rank 9 powerhouses. This way, when a great war broke out in the future, when high-end strength confronted each other, humans could have the power to fight back. Now, that Fang Ping was so powerful. Could they still achieve their goal? The atmosphere was extremely quiet. Some countries' representatives did not say a word. They were just there to watch the show. The 6 Holy Lands informed them to participate. Actually, they had the intention of using them as cannon fodder. Other than the 6 Holy Lands, the only country on Earth that had the right to lead was actually Sino Nation. There were too many powerhouses in the 4 factions and 4 residences. Everyone had no choice but to compromise. Chapter 934. In the main hall, Fang Ping sipped his tea unhurriedly. He said calmly, "Let's choose the leader first, then we'll talk business. Otherwise, if we can't come to an agreement, it'll be a waste of time." Is China very strong? At that moment, Jiang Kuei said slowly, "How many people from China are on the leaderboard?" Fang Ping looked at him and smiled. "I can tell that Waishan wants to be the leader, right? Not bad." Jiang Kuei did not deny it and said straightforwardly, "Other than me, Weiyu Mountain has 6 other experts on the excellence list this time. Other than that, Su Yun flew into the Weiyu Mountain. There were 8 people on the honor list, 10 origin source beasts, and 10 origin source realm disciples. Minister Fang, is this strength enough? 28 rank 9s. There were 8 powerhouses on the Wind Cloud ranking list. Su Yunfei ranked 5th, and Jiang Kuei ranked 11th. There were a total of 500 people on the leaderboard. China had a total of 20 people on it. It was not a small number, or rather, a lot. But Kong Lingyuan, who was ranked at the top, was just a decoration. In the top 10, other than Kong Lingyuan, Su Yunfei was next. Next, it was none other than Old Man Li. Old Man Li was ranked 18, but this 18 was still an exaggeration, the kind that was overstated. Now, if Kong Lingyuan did not go and Su Yun flew to Weiyu Mountain, then the strongest rank, 9 in China, would be Old Man Li, followed by Wu Quishen and Wu Chuan. Was this kind of strength enough to lead everyone? Jiang Kuei said calmly, "Waishan has no intention of becoming enemies with anyone." But no matter what era it was, strength reigned supreme. This was the conclusion. Of all the forces in the palace, Wayfeather Mountain was the most powerful. On this trip to the necropolis of the gods, Wayfeather Mountain knew the situation there better than anyone else. Division Head Fang, we personally participated in this battle back then, and after experiencing it, we know some top secrets. The right time and the right place were all on Weiyu Mountain. Since that's the case, can't Waishan be the alliance leader this time? The surroundings were extremely quiet. Fang Ping laughed. He looked at the powerhouses from all sides and said slowly, "What do you think? Someone in Sino Nation wants to fight with me to be the boss. Is this what you mean?" Wu Quishen coughed lightly. "Restrain yourself." Fang Ping ignored him. He looked at Wang Ruobing, who was seated on the upper right, and chuckled. "Ruobing, Long Chong Tian, listen to me before you act this time. You don't have any objections, do you?" Wang Ruobing was a little confused. The way he addressed her was so intimate, and she was not used to it. She really did not know Fang Ping that well. However, when Fang Ping said that, she nodded subconsciously. Fang Ping laughed. That's good. Dragon transformation is not a problem. As he said that, Fang Ping looked at Hong Ji, Su Bing, and the others, saying mildly, Heavenly Legion, are you going to listen to Wei Yishan? Su Bing, Hong Ji, and the others looked at each other. Soon, Su Bing said, I will naturally listen to Minister Fang, but Xianming, Sovereign Lord Xianming, is prepared to turn hostile? Fang Ping said playfully, Is that what you mean? Su Bing's expression fluctuated. These words. After a while, Su Bing said dejectedly, Minister Fang, you misunderstood. Xianming Tian has no objections. 5 of the 6 grandmasters listen to the Heaven Division. Yu Long Tian, Senior Yu Su, what do you think? On Yu Long Tian's side, the old man's eyebrows twitched. He did not expect Fang Ping to be so straightforward, forcing everyone to express their opinions the moment he arrived. Yu Su did not speak. For a moment, he was actually a little hesitant. Fang Ping suddenly ignored him and looked at Star Town, smiling. Senior Su, what do you think? Su Haoran nodded. Star Town listens to the Heaven Division's orders. Star Town, the leader of the 6 Holy Lands, has no objections. Do the other 5 Holy Lands have any objections? No one said a word. Fang Ping looked at Xianhua again, smiling. Senior Xianhua, there shouldn't be any problems with Xuanda Grotto Heaven, right? Xianhua looked at Jiang Kuei, then at Fang Ping, saying slowly, as long as Minister Fang does not deliberately harm the mystic virtues, then there should be no problem. How can that be? I, Fang Ping, am not that kind of person. I have always been ruthless to my enemies, but to my friends, I am like a spring breeze. Fang Ping smiled brightly. He looked at Jiang Kuei, whose expression had changed slightly, and smiled faintly. Is Wei Yishan very strong? Is 28 rank 9s a lot? Senior Su Yunfei, you are ranked 5th on the leaderboard, which is also the highest ranking powerhouse. I can't be bothered with your relationship with Wei Yishan. However, when it comes to the battlefield, you have to listen to Sino Nation's arrangements. Obey military orders during wartime. This is the first order that Sino Nation's neo-martial artists must obey. Senior Su, I have no objections if you can protect the people of Wei Yishan. I am not a person who forces people against their will. Repaying a favor is a must. Repaying favors is also a virtue of neo-martial artists. However, when it comes to a critical moment, Fang Ping's voice became serious. Then you have to listen to my arrangements. If you disobey military orders during wartime, Senior Su Haoran, you know the consequences of disobeying orders. You can inform Senior Yunfei. Su Haoran looked at his second grandmaster, sighing softly. Disobeying orders during wartime will result in death. Su Yunfei's expression changed slightly. He said in a low voice, I know Sino Nation's military orders. If the situation is critical, I will obey military orders. Thank you for understanding, Senior. Fang Ping laughed, looking at Jiang Kuei again. Does Wei Yishan have any other questions? Brother Jiang Kuei, if you think it's okay, you can ask for everyone's opinion. Jiang Kuei exhaled softly, a smile returning to his face. He said, Minister Fang is really bold. With just a few words, everyone compromised so easily. This was beyond Jiang Kuei's expectations. It was too easy. Among the 6 great grandmasters, other than Yu Long Tian, who was not too sure, the other 5 did not object. Even Yu Long Tian and Yu Shuzi did not seem to have any strong objections. Tai Bai Mountain also agreed, without hesitation. This was also beyond Jiang Kuei's expectations. What surprised him even more was Su Yunfei's attitude. Strictly speaking, Su Yunfei was also considered a disciple of Wei Yishan. In recent years, it was slightly different from the other boundaries. Wei Yishan had invested in Su Yunfei, which was why he had entered 10th stage origin so quickly. Now, Fang Ping had casually said, obey military orders during wartime, and Su Yunfei had betrayed them. Yes, he had betrayed them. Sect disciples regarded the sect as their god. This was how a sect disciple should be. Now, Su Yunfei had accepted Fang Ping's suggestion. For a moment, Jiang Kuei was furious and annoyed. Fang Ping, on the other hand, was very calm. Was Jiang Kuei an idiot? Was he negotiating terms with him? Would the forces that came this time dare to disobey him? Even if Xianming's sect and the others had countless schemes in their hearts, they still had to obey on the surface. Those who disobeyed were all dead. Wei Yishan had opened the passageway to Earth without permission. Fang Ping did not even blow up about it. At least Xuanda Grotto Heaven knew that they had gone through the catacombs before, so they did not open the passageway without permission. Wei Yishan had opened the passageway directly. Just for this, Fang Ping was prepared to find some trouble. Sino Nation was about to become a sieve. If this matter was not suppressed, there would be big problems sooner or later. Fang Ping thought in his heart. He looked at Jiang Kuei again and smiled. Brother Jiang, things have come to this. The minority should obey the majority. After entering the battlefield, I will command Wei Yishan here. Everyone, listen to the Heavenly Department's arrangements. Jiang Kuei frowned. Cooperation does not mean obedience. Even if Wei Yishan is leading everyone this time, it is cooperation and discussion, not obedience. Minister Fang, what you mean is, Wei Yishan has to listen to orders like a slave? Slave? Fang Ping smiled. Brother Jiang, you misunderstood. Everyone is working together. That is why there is strength in numbers. Otherwise, they will be holding us back. Brother Jiang. Fang Ping's tone became serious. There are many things to do. This matter ends here. Martial artists are efficient. Don't delay it anymore. Wei Yishan, either you don't listen to the arrangements or you enter the battlefield yourself. However, once you enter the battlefield, you will either be a teammate or an enemy. I will not differentiate between friend and foe. Jiang Kuei's gaze suddenly turned cold. Fang Ping was too domineering. Wei Yishan, even in ancient times, even when the heavenly realm still existed, had actually existed. Of course, Wei Yishan was not in this place back then. Venerable Emperor Qing Tong was one of the oldest venerable emperors. Although Heavenly Emperor Dragon Transformation was ranked 8th, it meant that he was not afraid of death. It did not mean that he was stronger than Emperor Qing Tong. Not only that, even the ranking of Second King was not recognized. In the top 10 of the Emperor ranking, only Heavenly King Suppression and Devil Emperor were recognized. As for Cat, including Zhang Tao and the rest, they were not recognized by some powerhouses. What right did Fang Ping have to be so arrogant with Wei Yishan? Jiang Kuei was about to rage when he suddenly felt a chill in his heart. At this moment, Fang Ping was also looking at him, his eyes cold. Fang Ping. Wu Quishan shouted telepathically. Fang Ping's eyes were cold. Even Wu Quishan felt that something was wrong. What was this guy doing? Fang Ping suddenly restrained himself and said with a smile, Vice-Chancellor, I'm fine. Wei Yishan is very strong, but no matter how strong he is, he still has to follow the rules. Some rules must be followed. Otherwise, the minister's feat of killing Great Peace, Heavenly Emperor, would become a joke. Why did the minister want to kill Great Peace? Why did he have to kill him, even if he was severely injured? Vice-Chancellor, you should understand. As soon as this was said, Wu Quishan was slightly stunned. He somewhat understood. Zhang Tao's intention had always been very clear. On Earth, one must listen and follow the rules. No matter who broke the rules, they would not hesitate to fight. Great Peace Heavenly Emperor opened the Great Peace Skies portal without permission, entered the catacombs from Earth, and then surrounded Fangping. This was not following the rules. Therefore, Great Peace Heavenly Emperor was dead. Now, Waishan also opened the portal without permission, even if this portal had always been there. They could open it freely thousands of years ago, but not now. Once this matter was ignored, the other outlanders and domains would follow suit. Then, the effect of Zhang Tao killing Tai and would be lost. Wu Quishan suddenly laughed at himself. Knowing was one thing. He really did not think much about it before. But now, looking at Fangping's intention, it seemed like he was taking the initiative to find trouble. This kid is of the same lineage as old Zhang. He's strong and domineering to the outside world, not considering the consequences at all. That's right. If you think too much, people will be afraid. Wu Quishan felt a little emotional. Suddenly, he somewhat understood the reason for his slow progress these days. The more he knew, the more afraid he seemed. He knew that Waishan was very strong, so he was a little afraid that Fangping would fall out with the other party. So what he considered was to talk slowly, talk nicely, seek common ground while reserving differences. But obviously, Zhang Tao did not mean that. Neither did Fangping. Therefore, the leadership of this meeting was in Fangping's hands, not him, the acting minister of the Ministry of Education. This kid has really matured. I thought he was being impulsive. Now, it seems that he understands the minister's intention. Wu Quishan was somewhat gratified, but also somewhat sorrowful. Young people grew too fast. He even felt that he was old. At that moment, Fangping's gaze was extremely cold. His murderous aura was restrained. It was not just one or two people who sensed it. Below, Su Bing and the others did not say a word. They had seen Fangping in this state before, when he killed the dragon monster. At that time, Fangping also had the same gaze. Then, without hesitation, he killed the dragon monster. Could it be that he wanted to kill Jiang Kuei? Su Bing and the others felt a slight chill in their hearts. Jiang Kuei was the descendant of Venerable Emperor Qin Tong, a direct descendant, a powerhouse at the top of the ranking list, one step away from becoming a true god. If Jiang Kuei was killed, Venerable Emperor Qin Tong would probably be furious, right? At this moment, Xianhua laughed. Brother Jiang, after all, you and I have not left the mountain for many years. Fangping and the others have been exploring the Graveyard of Gods for many years. The Graveyard of Gods now is different from before. Since Fangping is willing to lead this matter, then let him be. Jiang Kuei gave Fangping a deep look and said slowly, "Okay." Fangping glanced at Xianhua. This old man looked like he wanted to be a peacemaker. Fangping did not say much. He took advantage of the situation and said, "That's good." After this meeting, all 28 powerhouses of Weiyu Mountain will come to the Heaven Division to listen to orders and arrangements. As I said before, obey military orders during wartime. Those who disobey will be killed. Jiang Kuei suppressed the anger in his heart and said softly, "We'll just meet in the Earth Division." That won't do. We need to make some arrangements and get familiar with our new teammates. What do you mean? What I said. Fangping said, simply, disorganize and reorganize. All powerhouses will be divided into several teams. In other words, Brother Jiang has no right to break up the team at that time. Otherwise, you'll be killed. Fangping, you seem to be targeting me? Targeting Weiyu Mountain. Jiang Kuei's expression was gloomy. He could hear it. This person was targeting him, targeting Weiyu Mountain. He did not understand and was a little angry. Weiyu Mountain was being targeted by the martial artists of the human world. Brother Jiang worries too much. Fang Ping was still calm, but his eyes were burning as he looked at him. Yes, I'm targeting you. I don't say it, but that's what I mean. Sino Nation may be weak, but it's not afraid of those who do not abide by the rules. Would anyone intervene when old Zhang went against Emperor Qing Tong? No one would intervene. At most, old Zhang would be heavily injured again. This time, he might as well be on the verge of death. What was there to be afraid of? When that time comes, Weiyu Mountain will be destroyed. As for the venerable emperors of the bounded boundaries, they would send people out. Old Zhang promised to spare them this time. They would see when the time comes. No matter what, the rules could not be broken at this time. If that happened, Sino Nation would not be able to control it anymore. Chaos was often triggered by these small things. After saying that, Fang Ping ignored Jiang Kuei and continued calmly. Also, I'll say a few small things. They're very small things. Everyone, just listen. First, all martial artists who leave Outland and the bounded boundaries must go to the Martial Arts Association to apply for a martial arts license. You must remember. Second, under normal circumstances, no flying is allowed unless there's a war or an urgent military situation. The situation now is different from before. There are planes in the sky. I heard that some people don't understand the rules and fly randomly in the sky. They almost caused a few air disasters in the past 2 days. Fang Ping's eyes were cold. One plane, hundreds of passengers, hundreds of lives. Are you all blind? You don't even look. Did the rank 8 and 9 cultivation go to waste? Can't you see such a big plane? Someone has already stopped them, and there are still people who insist on going forward to check. Are you all so thick-skinned? Fang Ping stood up abruptly and looked at Yulong Tian and the rest. He said coldly, "Next time, if any of you fly recklessly in the sky again, I'll kill you directly. Not only once, but twice you almost caused an air disaster. Are the people who accompanied you idiots? Didn't they know to report to the Sky Division and send people to kill those bastards?" Yu Su's expression changed slightly. After a moment, he said slowly, "Minister Fang, you've misunderstood. Some disciples don't know about modern technology. They're a little curious. Curiosity kills." Fang Ping said coldly, "Almost 1,000 people. It's not that no one stopped you. The first time is fine, but the second time, why did you still go near the plane to check? When there were more powerhouses, it would really be chaotic. Modern martial artists all knew that when flying in the sky, the altitude should not be too high. If they encountered a plane, they would sense it in advance and avoid it in advance. However, these people did not know this. These days, some flights had to be canceled because there were too many people flying randomly in the sky. No one cared about the martial artists' no-flying order in the past, but now it had to be put on the agenda. Martial artists had seriously interfered with the lives of ordinary people. Seeing that Yu Su was afraid, Fang Ping's tone softened a little. "If there's a third time, when the time comes, Senior Yu Su and Heavenly Emperor Yulong, don't blame us for being merciless. Neo-martial artists fight all their lives for the ordinary people who are insignificant in your eyes. Now, you have already interfered with the lives of ordinary people. Fang Ping went a little overboard just now. Senior, please don't blame me." Yu Su had also recovered from his tense state. With a smile on his face, he said, "Minister Fang, don't worry. It's also our first time out of Grandmaster. I heard that the Sky Division has a training place. If Minister Fang doesn't think everyone is stupid, you can arrange for people to help train them. Next time, this can be avoided." Fang Ping laughed. "That's not a problem. This is how business is. You're good. I'm good. Everyone is good. Senior, don't take it to heart. I'm young, just over 20 years old. Hot-blooded. Sometimes I don't think before I speak. The corner of Yusu's mouth twitched slightly. He smiled and did not reply. What he said was not easy to reply. It was fine if he did not think before he spoke. He was afraid that if he did, he would still say it. After he said it, he would not think before he acted. His death would be in vain. Fang Ping seemed to be this kind of person. Did he really not think before? That might not be the case. As for those who were over 20 years old, he did not want to say anything. The above two rules are what all martial artists who enter Earth must abide by. Fang Ping continued. The third rule, all the portals that lead to Earth from Grandmaster and bounded lands must not be opened without authorization. Even if it is opened, there must be people from the 4 departments and 4 prefectures present. We will build a hall at the place where everyone is at. All the rules will be in accordance with Black Light Palace. The 4th rule, therefore, martial artists who leave Grandmaster and bounded lands must receive a week of basic general knowledge training. Learn Sino Nation's laws. Those who violate the rules will be punished according to the law. The 5th rule, without permission, you are not allowed to fight, compete, or hurt others. Fight, and learn from each other according to the rules. Even if it's a life and death battle, don't worry if you want to die. There will be people who will fight with you. Fang Ping bared his teeth and laughed coldly. Remember, you are a rank 9. If you want a life and death battle, there will be rank 9s who will fight with you. There are true gods and emperor levels. These people were not to be trifled with. On the upper right side, Wang Hanyue and Wang Ruobing could not help but look at Fang Ping again and again. Just over 20 years old, it was hard for them to imagine what this person had gone through. Behind Su Haoran, Jiang Chao was smiling so widely that the fats on his face were squeezed together. He sent a voice transmission. Grandpa Su, domineering, right? Domineering, right? Look, do you dare to say anything? F***CK, this is awesome. I knew it. There will never be a time when I follow Fang Ping and the others. 6 outer heavens and 2 bounded domains represented 8 venerable emperors. But Fang Ping still scolded them in front of their faces. Who dared to say anything? Aside from the venerable emperors, there were many powerhouses on the ranking list. Jiang Kuei and the others were ranked much higher than Fang Ping, but they still gave up. Jiang Chao was excited. This was awesome. Su Haoran did not know whether to laugh or cry. He had to admit that Fang Ping was really brave. Since he had said that everyone present would come to him if they were not convinced, then if Jiang Kuei came to him, now, he would dare to accept. If it was someone else, they would ask themselves, even if the heavenly king suppression was so powerful and the Su family's elder ancestor was not weak, would he dare to say something like this here? He would not dare. Su Haoran sighed softly in his heart. He would not dare. At this moment, not only them, but even the powerhouses from the other 5 holy lands were also a little excited, indescribable feeling. Sino Nation became stronger and fiercer as they fought. This was all because of this. Now, Fang Ping and the others were courageous to the end. Stubbornness was easy to break, but they obviously did not care. They were stubborn to the end. Even a place as powerful as the realm beyond heavens, and the realm boundaries had to admit defeat. The basilica was silent for a moment. Fang Ping, who was cold and stern just now, smiled again. He smiled and said, "What should be said has been said. Everyone understands. It's just a digression. Let's get down to business." As soon as he said that, even a group of powerhouses could hear a few gasps. At that moment, they were really stressed. They were worried that a war would break out and blood would be shed on the spot. If they were not careful, there might be a few rank 9s left here today. P.S. Recommending a book. I Took Over the Demon Emperor by Big Boss August Eagle. I've read the Big Boss's book. It's very well written. Brothers, you can take a look. Chapter 935. In the basilica, Fong Ping's smile was bright, as if he was a completely different person. 6 grandmasters, 2 boundaries, 6 sacred grounds, and Sino Nation. There are a total of 20 countries participating. Fong Ping began to talk about business with a straight face. For a moment, everyone was at a loss for words. Since Weiyu Mountain said 28 rank 9s will come, excluding Senior Su Yunfei, there are 27 more. How about this? Send 3 more to make up 30 rank 9s. Jiang Kuei frowned slightly. Today, he was in a passive position. This made him a little uncomfortable. Even in the era of sex, as the descendant of Emperor Qing Tong, a top-notch powerhouse in the Origin realm, he was flattered everywhere, like the moon surrounded by stars. But now, Fong Ping really did not give him any face. People like Jiang Kuei, who were used to being flattered, were also used to being the center of attention. Everywhere he went, everyone's attention was on him. This was what people like him were most used to. They might not like it, but they were used to this feeling. When this situation changed, it naturally made people feel a little uncomfortable. Even though Jiang Kuei was uncomfortable, he still suppressed it. In that moment, he felt Fong Ping's murderous intent was too strong. This time, he came out of the mountain not to fight with the human world. Jiang Kuei knew this. Taking an inaudible breath, Jiang Kuei regained his composure and said, "Sure." Fong Ping gave him a slightly strange look. He had agreed quite readily. The key was that Weiyu Mountain had been closed for so many years, but there were still so many rank 9s. This was somewhat unexpected. It seemed that Weiyu Mountain's losses were not as heavy as the other boundaries. Senior Xian Hua, Xuan Grotto Heaven, will send 20 rank 9s. Xian Hua looked at him and said with a slight headache, "There aren't that many people in Xuanda Grotto Heaven. Some have just woken up from a deep sleep and are still recovering. Didn't you stuff 8 golden-bodied monsters in there earlier? That's good too. Of these 8 golden-bodied monsters, 5 have advanced. We'll send another 10 people. 15 Origin is the limit. 15. Those 5 monsters have just advanced. Their combat strength should be average, right?" Fong Ping did not expect 5 out of the 8 monsters to advance. That was not slow at all. But it was understandable. The energy in the boundaries was frighteningly abundant. Those monsters were not far from rank 9. If not for this, these demons would not have dared to besiege Feng Jiuqing. As Fong Ping said that, he smiled and said, "But that's fine too. Speaking of which, these 5 monsters and I are fated." Xian Hua couldn't be bothered. Fong Ping did not mind. He looked at the Grandmaster powerhouses and said with a smile, "The 2 clans from the Land of Boundaries will send 45 rank 9 martial artists. The 6 of you, 55 will do." As soon as he said this, everyone looked at each other. Some of them felt helpless. For some grandmasters, there were not many rank 9s. They might not even be able to gather 10 of them. Weiyu Mountain's situation was special. Coupled with the demons, they managed to gather so many rank 9 powerhouses. However, there were still a few rank 9s among the 6, and there were quite a few of them. Soon, everyone nodded slightly in agreement. 6 holy lands. Gather 50 rank 9 martial artists. There were not many rank 9s in the Holy Land. When Fong Ping asked Jiang Chao said that there were only a few rank 9s in Star City, but that was before. Right now, there were probably 20 rank 9s in Stellar Sky City. This did not include the rank 9s guarding Mount Imperial Sea, but some rank 9s from the Land of Boundaries and the King battleground had returned. People like Su Yunfei, who were guarding Weiyu Mountain previously, had returned now. Fong Ping continued to make arrangements. The other 19 countries, 20 rank 9s, will do. On Sino Nation's side, gather 30 rank 9s. In this way, 200 rank 9s. Fong Ping said with some emotion, thinking about it, it's quite touching. 200 rank 9s martial artists. If we could gather so many rank 9s earlier, I'm afraid the catacombs in Sino Nation's territory would have been destroyed by 7 or 8. Everyone was speechless. 200 rank 9s. This was gathered by all the forces. Wu Chuan and Wu Quishan looked at each other. Both of them quickly sent a voice transmission to Fong Ping. 30 rank 9s? Fong Ping, this doesn't even include the real level. How can Sino Nation recruit 30 rank 9s so quickly? It was easy to say. Fong Ping also sent a voice transmission. We can't do it with fewer people. We can't hold the fort. And this time, if we don't do it, we must do it big. As Fong Ping said that, he did not send another voice transmission. He opened his mouth and said, everyone, 200 rank 9s is a lot. Even in the Magic City Catacombs battle earlier, both sides gathered less than 200 rank 9s. And that battle was probably the highest number of rank 9s in 1,000 years. But this time, the earthly emperor's treasure is targeted by too many people in the battleground of the imperial capital. The catacombs, 4 majestic chambers, various dynasties, divine sects, as well as the Forbidden Sea, based on my understanding of them. These people may not value other things, but they value the earthly emperor's treasure beyond imagination. In my opinion, the rank 9 martial artists who enter the catacombs in the end, a conservative estimate, would be no less than 500. Fong Ping did not exaggerate. He said with a smile, others aside, the catacombs for true king halls have close to 200 true gods. 1 or 2 rank 9s sent by a true god would be 300 to 400, in addition to the people from the majestic chambers themselves. I suspect that the 4 majestic chambers alone could have 500 rank 9s. So, everyone, don't start taking it lightly just because we have a lot of rank 9s on our side. In the end, it won't end well. After he said that, on Yulong Qian's side, Jade Hollow said, that's right. Before I came, I went to the Earth Realm once and met some old friends. This time, there will be a lot of people from other grandmasters coming. Jade Hollow also said bluntly, the reason why we are here is actually related to this. Minister Fong probably knows that all the venerable emperors have been waiting for many years to become emperors. This is not something that can't be told to others. In other words, when it comes to becoming emperors, the venerable emperors will be extremely concerned. These great emperors would not care much about ordinary things, nor would they care. Even if Earth was destroyed and the catacombs were destroyed, these venerable emperors might not care. However, the earthly emperor's treasure was related to the seed of rebirth and the emperor's path. All the great emperors who were not dead would be concerned about it. This was also the main point, that the imperial capital's battleground would be extremely chaotic this time. Right now, the imperial capital's battleground had not opened yet. On the day it opened, or the moment Fong Ping and the rest snatched back the treasure, powerhouses with the intention of becoming emperors would probably arrive. And that day would also be the beginning of Old Zhang and the rest's plan. Fong Ping smiled. Exactly. That's why I'm reminding everyone. Let's stop talking about the personnel arrangements. Let's talk about the time arrangements. Senior Howren, is there any specific news from Star City? When will the catacombs enter the imperial capital's battleground? Upon hearing that, Su Howren said quickly, it will be no later than 10 days. All right then. Everyone, gather at the Heavenly Division in 5 days. Don't split up. When the time comes, go to the catacombs together to prevent being defeated one by one. Fang Ping did not talk about anything else. He immediately started making these arrangements. Jiang Kuei frowned slightly. Then the specific matter of snatching the treasure. There's no rush. Fang Ping smiled. Listen to me, this is the arrangement for rank 9. Also, each family can bring some rank 8s. If you're not afraid of death, I won't stop you from bringing your own rank 7s. Just don't make trouble for us. Also, each family in Outland and the Bounded Boundaries will have at least one true god protector. Each of the 6 sacred lands will also have at least one. For Sino Nation, if it's possible, the Martial King will go. If the injuries are too serious, then the Netherworld King will lead the team. This is the arrangement of personnel. Having said that, Fang Ping asked with a smile, is there any family that doesn't have a true god powerhouse? No one spoke. Fang Ping's gaze flickered slightly. As expected, each of them was hiding it, but in reality, they still had a foundation. Over at Mystic Heaven's side, the last time he went there was no mention of a living true god. But now, with the Demon Emperor's treasure, these fellows did not hide it anymore. In fact, even if Fang Ping did not say it, these places would probably have true gods. Even emperor-level powerhouses would go there personally. At this time, Wang Ruobing, who had not spoken much, suddenly said, Fang Ping, if we really snatch the earthly emperor's treasure, if it can really make people emperor, then how do we split it? When she said this, she was a little anxious. Wang Ruobing did not really care about these, but she could not help but be anxious. Originally, she wanted to spend more time with her father these days. Her father's life was coming to an end. It was actually good to spend his remaining years in peace. With the lifespan of Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor, living for 1 or 2 years was not a big problem. But now, in the last battle with Changrong's Celestial Emperor, Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor consumed some origin again. In the current situation, living for 3 to 5 months was already the limit. Previously, her father had returned to Dragon Transformation once. He did not say much. The only thing he said was that after he died, he asked Wang Ruobing to immediately bring Dragon Transformation's people to Earth, to Sino Nation, to find King Wu, and make him fulfill his promise. Everything about Dragon Transformation was handed over to the Martial King, including the remains of Dragon Transformation. Of course, if there were remains. Her father said it calmly, but Wang Ruobing felt grief instantly. At that moment, she suddenly no longer felt indifferent. She wanted her father to live on, and snatching the earthly emperor's treasure might be the only thing that could keep her father alive. But this time, there were too many people participating. Everyone wanted to become emperor. When Wang Ruobing opened her mouth, everyone actually guessed what she meant. Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor's time was coming to an end. This might be the only venerable emperor to die of old age since ancient times. Maybe there were other venerable emperors who died of old age, but no one knew about it. The only thing they knew was that Dragon Transformation was dying. Fang Ping also knew about Dragon Transformation's Celestial Emperor. After thinking about it, he said, snatching the treasure is not that simple. There are too many people watching this time. Of course, since everyone is here, their goal is to get the treasure. And I'm saying if the treasure is really obtained in the end, if it's the kind that can be shared, then everyone can use it together. There's no problem at all. If it's a one-time use treasure that only works for one person, when these words came out, many people were a little nervous. If there was only one treasure, and it was only effective for one person, then this matter would be very troublesome. Fang Ping smiled and said, actually, in my opinion, this possibility is not high. If it can really help people become emperors, the 2 kings would have become emperors long ago. Of course, we can't rule out the fact that the two kings are idiots and don't know how to use it. In my opinion, this item is more likely to be related to some clues similar to a treasure like a map. All right, let's continue my topic first. If it's really a treasure that can be used by one person, I don't think it can help people become emperors. So, Sino Nation can let it go. When these words came out, everyone was stunned. At this moment, Jiang Kuei was also a little surprised and shocked. He hurriedly said, "Is this true? Minister Fong, can represent Sino Nation to agree to this?" Sino Nation was still very competitive. For no other reason, a martial king was enough to make some emperors suffer. Fong Ping said indifferently, "Of course it's true. Don't worry. Although I, Fong Ping, am not a paragon, nor an emperor's powerhouse, since I dared to agree, then this matter will naturally be approved by the other department leaders of the 4 departments and 4 residences. Of course, it's not without a price. Whoever wants to get the treasure, or if they get it in the end, must give Sino Nation corresponding treasures and resources. These can be discussed after we get it." Everyone did not care about this, but they were shocked that Fong Ping actually dared to agree on behalf of those powerhouses not to give up the Earth Emperor's supreme treasure. What was this guy thinking? Did Zhang Tao and the others really not have any designs on the Earth Emperor's supreme treasure? Sino Nation won't participate. As for you guys, it's up to your own capabilities. But I want to make it clear, before the treasure is safely in my hands, if anyone dares to spoil the plan, don't blame me for not showing mercy. Fong Ping snorted softly, going straight to the point. Harming your teammates, deliberately not rescuing, trying to reduce competitors. I've seen these things many times. I don't care how you guys usually do, and I don't care how you guys do after. Before I announce the complete end of the cooperation, whoever does this first, I won't smooth things over. There's only one word: kill. Fong Ping's aura was boiling. He said coldly, "I don't think about the big picture. My big picture is different from yours. If you mess things up at the crucial moment, I'd rather let the treasure go to someone else than show mercy. When that time comes, maybe I'll join forces with the catacombs powerhouses to kill those troublemakers. I can do this. You guys have to believe it too." As soon as he said this, Su Bing and the others smiled bitterly. Believe. They really believed. Although they had not known Fong Ping for long, how could they not believe what he said? When that time came, this guy might really join forces with the catacombs powerhouses and voluntarily give up the treasure to kill his own people. There were signs of this in Emperor's Tomb. As for whether Jiang Kuei and the others believed it or not, Su Bing could not be bothered to think about it. Wei Yushan had sent so many rank 9s this time, maybe they were planning to snatch it at the last moment. However, Su Bing knew that if Wei Yushan did not follow the rules, they might suffer a big loss in the end. At this moment, Jiang Kuei did not consider these things. Instead, he said in a low voice, "Then, the strength of each team is different. Do you want to distribute it equally in the end?" Fong Ping laughed. "Of course not. Let's put it this way. 200 people, that means 200 shares. Or maybe 200 chances. In the end, try to use peaceful means to distribute it. At this time, the probability of who gets it will be related to the number of people who contribute. Not only the number, but also the amount of effort. Don't try to fish in troubled waters. It doesn't exist here. Sino Nation is more of a referee. As for Sino Nation's purpose, I'm not afraid to let you know. 2 points. First, kill more catacombs powerhouses. Second, after the matter is over, Sino Nation must get some commonly used resources such as energy stones, natural treasures, ancient pills, weapons. Fong Ping laughed. Sino Nation's purpose is very simple. As for becoming an emperor, we will rely on ourselves to become an emperor, not the so-called earthly emperor's treasure. If the earthly emperor's treasure can become an emperor, that would be the biggest joke. Back then, after the Great War, the treasure would not have been left there. I think your venerable emperors are also well aware of this. They just want to take a gamble. Up to you. Jiang Yao exhaled softly. That's right. We also know that the earthly emperor's treasure does not have a high chance of making someone an emperor, but maybe it has some other uses, or maybe it can give us an advantage in the future. Minister Fong doesn't need to say this. We understand. It's good that you know what you're doing. Otherwise, when the difference is too big, you'll go crazy. Fong Ping laughed. He said it calmly. He really did not think that this thing could make someone an emperor. Was the second king an idiot? If it could, they would not have used it as bait back then. However, it could attract so many great emperors to participate in the war. If there were no accidents, it would still have a significant effect. Fong Ping suspected that some of the ancient venerable emperors knew what this treasure was. If they did not know at all, would these people fight to their deaths? However, these guys did not say anything now, so he did not ask. He would know when the time came. At this point, the general direction was decided. As for the specific details, there was no need to go into detail. But if it's on your side, then you can't recruit disciples in Sino Nation. I want to make this clear in advance. As he said that, Fong Ping looked at a woman below. Wuji Heaven was the boundary lands where the empress who had suppressed the evil sect and old Zhang was at. The other party still had a true god powerhouse who had come out of seclusion. Previously, he was also secretly protecting in the Heaven Division, but today he was also brought to the deep sea side. On the Wuji Heaven side, the extremely beautiful female martial artist said indifferently, "No need. Wuji Heaven is close to Shijiang. Shijiang will do." Obviously, the other party had no intention of going to the ancient Buddha Holy Land. Seeing that, Fong Ping raised his eyebrows slightly. The ancient Buddha Holy Land was still quite sincere. If he went to the ancient Buddha Holy Land, there should not be as many rules as there were in Sino Nation. But the other parties still chose the Sino Nation region. It was a little strange. Fong Ping did not think too much, waiting for them to finish speaking before saying, during Sino Nation's weakest period, the catacombs martial artists once rushed into the human world. 90 years ago, Sino Nation suffered many casualties, but other than that one time 90 years ago, no matter how difficult it was after that, we never let the catacombs martial artists enter Sino Nation's territory. Dying in the catacombs is a new martial artist's honor and also a destination. I don't want the catacombs to attack the surface in a few days after handing over the 7 catacombs to you under such circumstances. As Fong Ping said that, he said slowly, if we lose the catacombs, this is the responsibility of losing the land. Some things will still be investigated. I hope everyone can take this seriously. This meeting, Sino Nation only has so many things to do. If anyone else has something to say, bring it up now, and we'll discuss it together. If there are no objections, everyone can just do what I said earlier. Hearing that, Jiang Kuei was silent for a moment. Soon he said, "Everyone, I'll say something." This time, no one from Mount Wangu came out. However, we have to be on guard. No one from Mount Wangu is on the list, but it doesn't mean that no one from Mount Wangu survived. On the contrary, there are many surviving powerhouses from Mount Wangu, more than Mount Weiyu. This time, it's possible that no one from Mount Wangu came out. During the battle in the Graveyard of Gods years ago, the one from Mount Wangu killed many venerable emperors. His disciples were also the side that killed the most enemies in that battle. This time, we still have to prevent this from happening. As soon as he said that, Xian Hua said solemnly, "We must guard against Mount Wangu. The battle between the north and the south has a lot to do with Mount Wangu. We must be careful." Both the territories mentioned Mount Wangu. At this time, Jade Hollowchild also said, "Indeed, we must pay attention to Mount Wangu. That venerable emperor has a bad temper. We must prevent him from acting recklessly." Even the grandmasters mentioned this. Fong Ping did not care before, but now he could not help but care. What's the situation with Mount Wangu? It's hard to say. Xian Hua and the others wanted to say something, but hesitated. After a long time, Xian Hua shook his head slightly at Fong Ping, indicating that there was no need to ask anymore. Fong Ping's eyebrows twitched. All right, he would ask after the meeting. Chapter 936. At the same time as the meeting was held in China, Weiyu Mountain, the towering mountain peak, was shrouded in clouds, resembling an immortal realm. Palaces floated around the mountain peak, eventually forming a massive building complex. At the center, a mountain peak that seemed to reach the heavens was especially eye-catching. An immortal palace stood at the peak of the mountain. Within the immortal palace, it was extremely quiet. After an unknown period of time, a voice suddenly sounded from the immortal palace. "North Sea, why are you here?" The moment he said that, an invisible world wall opened in the sky. The next moment, a figure shrouded in immortal chi appeared and descended slowly. At that moment, Gong Juanzi looked like an immortal with jade-like skin. Looking at the world wall, Gong Juanzi smiled faintly. "Seems like your injuries have healed after all these years." Quokang Mountain's world wall had been operating on its own due to his injuries and was on the verge of collapse. However, Emperor Qing Tong could control Weiyu Mountain's world wall freely. Clearly, someone had been maintaining the restrictions here. "Come in." In the immortal palace, Emperor Qing Tong did not explain. The next moment, the gates of the immortal palace opened. Immortal children lined up on both sides and shouted loudly, "Welcome, North Sea Emperor." The children on both sides used dermic arts, and a golden path appeared beneath Gong Juanzi's feet, leading straight to the immortal palace. Gong Juanzi smiled nonchalantly. He walked forward and lamented, "Many of your people survived. As for Quokang Mountain, he sighed softly. He was the only one who survived in the massive Quokang Mountain. Previously, there was a cat. Now that the cat had run away, he was truly alone. As he spoke, a young man appeared at the end of the path. He was handsome and wore a crown. He looked similar to Jiang Kuei, but was even more outstanding. The young man placed his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. "Everything is faded." "Faded?" Gong Juanzi sneered and stepped forward. He looked around and said with a smile, "Previously, I thought that you were also heavily injured and even sent people to Weiyu Mountain to look for you. I didn't expect that your injuries have already healed." Previously, when he let LV Zhen leave Quokang Mountain, he asked LV Zhen to come to Weiyu Mountain. However, LV Zhen went underground, and Zhang Tao did not allow him to run around. Naturally, he could not come to Weiyu Mountain. Emperor Qing Tong smiled and said nothing. Gong Juanzi also stopped and looked at him. The smile on his face disappeared, and he said coldly, "Since you've recovered, why haven't you left the mountain? If you've recovered, why did you leave the mountain?" Gong Juanzi looked at him for a while and said in self-mockery, "The struggle between the north and the south. In the 10 great paradises, I'm afraid that only the few of us would take it seriously. We've become fools, pawns, abandoned pieces." "Qing Tong, is that so?" Emperor Qing Tong said nothing. "What kind of role did you play back then?" Gong Zhuanzi looked at him with a burning gaze. In the past, Emperor Qingtong had been the leader of the southern faction during the war between the north and the south. Weiyu Mountain, the second grotto heaven, Imperial Emperor Qingtong, was also an ancient venerable emperor. He was extremely old and powerful. Emperor Qingtong had participated in that battle as well. The battle that day had been far too intense, and Gong Zhuanzi had clearly seen that Qingtong had suffered grievous injuries, far worse than his own. But Weiyu Mountain's situation showed that Emperor Qingtong had been recovering for at least 1,000 years. Had Celestial Emperor Qingtong already recovered from such severe injuries? Not only that, Gong Zhuanzi looked at his jade-like body and said with a chuckle, "You've already given up on the path of spiritual consciousness and made up for the flaws of your corporeal body?" Emperor Qingtong said, "The extreme path is not that easy to walk. Back then, all the extreme path heavenly emperors went missing. I'm afraid they've already met with misfortune. Without the detailed cultivation techniques passed down, the extreme path has flaws." Gong Zhuanzi said slowly, "I only have one question. When did you start cultivating your corporeal body?" Emperor Qingtong chuckled and said, "Is it important?" Gong Zhuanzi understood a little and murmured, "Yes, is it important?" The most resolute, venerable emperor of the southern faction asked me, "Is it important?" The struggle between the north and the south was a farce, a joke. One battle destroyed the blessed abode, and one battle killed dozens of venerable emperors and hundreds of true gods. Now, it seems that it was just a joke. Gong Zhuanzi laughed at himself and said, "Qingtong, why didn't you die?" It sounded like a curse, but it was a sincere question. "Why didn't you die?" Emperor Qingtong smiled and said, "Why was I the one who died? Why couldn't it have been someone else? Could it be that you were in cahoots?" Gong Zhuanzi suddenly frowned. "Back then, you and that person led the southern faction and the northern faction, respectively. Previously, I went to Weiyu Mountain to investigate for a while. The restrictions there were still intact, but when the formation I was broken, it was there that started. Weiyu Mountain was the core. Now, Weiyu Mountain is still there, but the 108 blessed abodes have withered. More and more facts tell me that you were all acting in the past." Gong Zhuanzi became more self-deprecating, his face full of mockery. What a struggle between the north and the south. What a struggle between the southern faction and the northern faction. I was wondering why the war broke out so quickly that everyone was in a killing frenzy. I see. Poor Kuozong's 3,000 disciples all died in the end. It was just a big show. Ridiculous. Emperor Qingtong fell silent again. "Who ordered you?" Gong Zhuanzi was really confused this time. "Tell me, who ordered you?" "Even that person in Weiyu Mountain. I heard that he has sealed himself away for 1,000 years and has never come out again. Not a single one of his disciples has come out. Why is that?" Emperor Qingtong chuckled. "Would you believe me if I said, I don't know?" "Don't know?" Gong Zhuanzi sneered. "Emperor Qingtong, how could you be so reckless? You were ordered to destroy the 100 schools of thought without knowing anything? There are some things you don't understand." Emperor Qingtong did not stand still. He slowly walked forward. In front of him, the dragon and phoenix prostrated under his feet, allowing him to step on them as he gradually walked into the sky. Gong Zhuanzi followed slowly and did not speak again. Emperor Qingtong said, as he walked, "I thought that I was the only one who cooperated with them. I was the leader of the southern faction in the struggle between the north and the south. That was already shocking enough. It was only in the end that I found out that the northern and southern factions were under that person's control. Working with that person in the royal house is also something that I didn't expect. I nearly died in that battle, but in the end, someone stepped in and saved me. Who? That person in Wangwu Mountain. Emperor Qing Tong chuckled. That's how I found out that I'm on the same side as that person. Don't you think it's funny? One was the leader of the southern faction, and the other was the leader of the northern faction. The war between the north and south erupted. Great monarchs fell. True gods were like weeds, and blood flowed like rivers. In the end, the leaders of the two factions became one. Gong Juanzi's face turned pale when he heard this. It's funny. It's so funny that I still think about the war between the North and South for thousands of years. Isn't that even funnier? Gong Juanzi sighed, then asked again, what is the person behind this? What is he trying to do? Emperor Qing Tong chuckled. Who knows? Killing for fun? Unifying the three realms? But for thousands of years, no one has unified the three realms, and the person behind this has never appeared. Unifying the three realms is probably not the goal. Emperor Qing Tong thought for a while and said, maybe the person behind that war wanted to show the sovereigns Tao. I've made some guesses over the years, but I couldn't come to a conclusion. But I do know one thing. The earthly sovereign's relic might have been thrown into the interspatial battlefield on purpose. Gong Juanzi frowned. On purpose? Yes, we were heavily injured back then, but the group of people who came later had the ability to retrieve the earthly sovereign's relic, but they didn't. If I'm not mistaken, they wanted to use the blood of the monarchs and the Tao of the gods to nourish this relic. Gong Juanzi's expression changed drastically when he heard this. Could the war back, then, have been to nourish this relic? How extravagant! The blood of tens of monarchs and the Tao of hundreds of true gods was all for this? Maybe it was along the way. Qing Tong looked at the sun in the sky and said softly, nourish it along the way. Since the dead are already dead, why can't we make use of trash? The earthly sovereign's relic, what is it? Qing Tong was slightly surprised when he heard this, then said with a smile, you don't know? Gong Juanzi snorted coldly and said with a cold gaze, back then, someone secretly destroyed my cultivation technique. This person must be among us. That day, I focused all my energy on this person, so I didn't really care about the earthly sovereign's relic. Beihai, you surprised me. It seems like you've become muddle-headed after following the cat. Sovereign Qing Tong laughed. You don't know what the earthly sovereign's relic is, and you fought to the end? He thought Beihai knew. Or, rather, almost all those who were in the space battlefield knew. Beihai didn't know? Gong Juanzi snorted again. Someone had broken his Quokang scripture, so he didn't have the energy to care about anything else. Qing Tong stopped, provoking him, and said with a smile, actually, I don't know what it is exactly, but so many people died that day, and at the last moment we saw a door. A door? Gong Juanzi's expression changed slightly. A door blocking the way? That's right. Qing Tong said with a smile, a door blocking the way? Is it the Sanjiao Gate? I'm not sure. Qing Tong shook his head and said, we only saw a faint ancient door that flashed by. That's why the others fought to the end. You know, we've been trapped in this realm for far too long. We haven't improved for thousands of years who would be able to restrain themselves after seeing this door that day. But that door was too illusory that flashed by. That's why I guessed that the person behind the scenes didn't take the relic, but left it where it was. Maybe the earthly sovereign's relic wasn't enough to manifest that door. Now, that 2,000 years have passed. Maybe it's possible this time? Gong Juanzi took a deep breath and said with some shock, you actually saw the door. No wonder. No wonder those people fought to the end like madmen and refused to retreat. As for him, he really didn't see it. He just found it strange that the others fought to the end. He had no choice. His scripture was broken, and to find this enemy, he fought to the death. That person in the dark had been guiding him. Qing Tong laughed again and said, "You didn't see the door and kept fighting. Beihai, you really surprised me. No wonder when we left that day, you were the only one who didn't look back and left the fastest." Gong Juanzi snorted again. He was being mocked. At the end of the battle, he was indeed the fastest to leave. But many people were still hesitant and reluctant. Gong Juanzi was surprised that these people were so greedy. It was just the earthly sovereign's relic, and they didn't even see what it was. Was there a need to guard it? Now, it seemed like he was lucky. If he knew that the relic could see the door that day, he might have stayed until the end to see if there was a chance. Then why didn't you do anything all these years? "We can't enter." Qing Tong shook his head and said, "The path inside is completely chaotic, and we can't enter. It has only loosened in recent years. Back then, it should be the group that came later that set up some things to prevent us from entering. Back then, Heavenly King Suppressing came here and asked people to come out. It wasn't just because he was strong, but also because of this. We sent people out because of this place. After that, we came to Suppressing Star City to explore this place, and it was also a condition that Heavenly King Suppressing agreed to us." Heavenly King Suppressing. Gong Yuzi frowned again and said, "I've heard of this person, but I've never met him. He didn't go to Kwokang Mountain back then." "You're the only survivor of Kwokang Mountain, so why did he go there? Besides, Gray Cat is in Kwokang Mountain, and Heavenly King Suppressing Star shouldn't be willing to come in contact with him." "Who is Heavenly King Suppressing Star?" "You're from the same era as Long Bien and the others, and you've existed since ancient times. Don't you know this person?" "I know him." Qing Tong nodded and said with a smile, "But knowing him doesn't mean anything. I've seen him in the Heaven Realm, but you don't know that the Heaven Realm was mysterious in the past, and we were just ordinary venerable sovereigns. We wouldn't get close to anyone we met in the Heaven Realm. This person should have been near Kwokang Mountain. When Kwokang Mountain was built, I went there, and I think I saw him once by the sea. That day, he went fishing with Unquestionable Jian and Gray Cat. You didn't see him?" "He fished with Gray Cat and Unquestionable Jian?" Gong Juanzi murmured. "Gray Cat didn't come in contact with many people back then. Unquestionable Jian, Jiang Tianming, Gong Yuzi, and a few others. As for the others, Gray Cat didn't mention them." "Beihai, Qing Tong suddenly sighed. "I don't know if you're lucky or unlucky. After the Heaven Realm was destroyed, you achieved your Tao in the era of the earthly Emperor God dynasty. If Unquestionable Jian was the no, one genius in the era of the 100 Clans, then you, Gong Yuzi, are also a genius in the earthly Emperor God dynasty. Not the number one, but you're definitely in the top 3. Do you think it was just a coincidence that Gray Cat found you after the Heaven Realm was destroyed? The earthly Emperor God dynasty was established many years later. It was during this period that Gong Juanzi of Beihai showed his talent. More than 2,000 years ago, at the end of the earthly Emperor God dynasty, Gong Juanzi became a powerful venerable sovereign and was qualified to establish Kwokang Mountain. The masters of the 10 Grotto Heavens and the masters of the 4 Brahma Heavens were almost the same in strength, except for the one in the Wangu. Kwokang Mountain was the last of the 10 Grotto Heavens, and Gong Juanzi was the weakest among them. Perhaps entering this rank was a testament to his strength. He was a rising star, a peerless genius in the era of the earthly Emperor God dynasty. Gong Juanzi frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" "I said you're lucky because you're still alive now. I said you're unfortunate because you missed a lot of opportunities." Qing Tong smiled. If there was no unquestionable back then, the Demon Emperor might not have been unquestionable, but unquestionable strength has a lot to do with Gray Cat. Gray Cat is truly ancient existing with the three realms. It knew too many secrets and knew too many things. With just a few words of advice, perhaps you would be able to go further. But in the end, Gray Cat handed everything to Unquestionable instead of you. Gong Juanzi said calmly, "That's nothing. At least I'm better off than Unquestionable." At this point, Gong Juanzi did not want to continue this topic and went back to the main topic. "Today, I came here to see you. Now that I've seen you, some of my doubts have been resolved. Secondly, I want to ask where Unquestionable is now. After all, Gray Cat and I have been friends for thousands of years. Back then, I also had many years of friendship with Unquestionable. Initially, I wanted to reminisce about old times. However, I vaguely feel that something is wrong about the Emperor's tomb. Gray Cat went there for no reason, and he is not a meddlesome person, if not for the rumor that the heaven-crushing sword and Unquestionable's remains in the Emperor's tomb. Gray Cat would not have gone there for no reason. Did he purposely lure Gray Cat to Purple Cap Mountain? After that, Gray Cat was ranked first on the Emperor's ranking. Speaking up to this point, Gong Juanzi said with a cold expression, "Was it all part of his plan? It's fine for Unquestionable to scheme against other experts, but Gray Cat is indebted to him." Ching Tong smiled. "Indebted? You think he's indebted? Does Unquestionable really think so?" Ching Tong sighed. If it wasn't for Gray Cat, perhaps he could have lived the life he wanted. He could have held hands with his wife until they grew old. He could have continued to be the top disciple of Purple Cap Mountain. He could have remained unnoticed. And his wife would not have died. North Sea, in your eyes, Gray Cat is innocent. A blessing, but in Unquestionable size. Did he really think so? Maybe Gray Cat did not realize it himself. But since ancient times, how many people that Gray Cat had followed had a good ending? You're an exception, as you're not Gray Cat's follower. In other words, Gray Cat gave up on you halfway, resulting in Gong Juanzi. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Gong Juanzi's figure shuddered. Did Unquestionable think so? Is it really him? He did it on purpose. Gong Juanzi's expression turned cold. Was he the one who released the ranking of the three realms? I don't know about that. Ching Tong said, smilingly, "You're asking me, but I don't know where Unquestionable is either. Gong Yuzi has gone deep into the embittered sea. Otherwise, you could ask him. Gong Yuzi might know something. The other one is the godly divination cultivator. He was with Unquestionable and Gray Cat in the past, so he might know something too. However, I heard that his memory had been erased. Perhaps Unquestionable was the one who purposely hid something." At this point, Ching Tong said slowly, "Even if we find him, what can we do? What can you do to him?" "Let me give you a reminder." Ching Tong was silent for a moment and said softly, "That batch of people that came later might be related to Unquestionable. He disappeared for a long time. It's said that he went to the Heaven Realm ruins. His strength stepped into Emperor rank, appearing briefly and disappearing very quickly. That batch of people that came later were extremely powerful, and there were many Emperor ranks too. Where did they come from? I see that their actions are the same as Unquestionable, appearing and disappearing mysteriously. Perhaps both parties have some connection." Gong Juanzi's expression changed. If he was really related to that group of people, he wouldn't have been besieged and killed 1,000 years ago. How do you know if this is his own scheme? Ching Tong smiled and said, "Beihai, you're too naive. You've had a smooth journey, becoming Emperor rank at a young age, obtaining the ancient extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor's inheritance, Gray Cat by your side, and you're not Gray Cat's follower. You've avoided all the disasters that could be avoided. You've had it too smooth. So how can you understand the hearts of others?" Extreme Tao Heavenly Emperor, Gong Juanzi frowned and said, "Do you know where I inherited my cultivation technique from? Although you haven't revealed it, The various manifestations of your Kwokang treasure canon are similar to an extreme Tao heavenly emperor's cultivation technique. Gong Juanzi really did not know who his cultivation technique was inherited from. This thing was even given to him by Gray Cat. This kind of top secret would not be easily told to others either. The others also did not show any abnormalities. Thinking about it now, probably many people knew. No wonder his cultivation technique was broken by someone in the end. Perhaps what was broken was not his Kwokang treasured canon, but the spiritual sense canon that he obtained in the little black room. Living for several thousand years, Gong Juanzi seemed to only know these emperors today, only know Qing Tong. Looking at Qing Tong, he muttered, "So, in your eyes, I've always been just a lucky person." Qing Tong's smile looked towards the horizon and said softly, "Ignorance is bliss, but it might not be a bad thing. The more you know, the earlier you die. Today, you came to Weiyu Mountain to find me, then I'll tell you some. This is also fate." Gong Juanzi's mind was filled with countless thoughts. After a long time, he said, "Then over at the Graveyard of Gods, will you all be fighting for it this time?" "Will Unquestionable Sword go?" With his back facing him, Qing Tong said calmly, "Maybe, maybe not. Also, since Gray Cat has left, don't look for him anymore." "Why?" Qing Tong did not speak. After a while, he said, "During the war between the North and the South, you and I were friends for many years, and you regarded me as your elder brother. Now, although it's all just an illusion, and I'm not sincere, but we don't have many old friends left. Don't seek your own death." Gong Juanzi looked at his back. This elder brother, who had treated him like a brother, had changed. He was completely different from the Emperor Qing Tong in his memory. "Maybe I can guess some things." Gong Juanzi was a little dispirited, and he said self-mockingly, "You people, yes, maybe I don't understand you at all. Now that your lifespans are about to end, I'm afraid you've all gone crazy. But you can still remind me, which is beyond my expectation. Emperor Qing Tong and the others were about to die, but he did not have such worries. He still had a long way to go before the great limit of 10,000 years. This was probably the reason why he did not fit in with these people. Kwokang Mountain had always dealt with the demon race more than the other grotto heavens and blessed lands. Some things he might not know as much as some true gods. Suddenly thinking of something, Gong Juanzi frowned slightly and said, "This time I came here, I heard that someone from your mountain came out to the human world." As he spoke, Gong Juanzi looked around and swept his gaze across the entire Weiyu Mountain. He said slowly, "Your sect's strength is almost undamaged, and there are hundreds of people from the Origin sect and the demon race. Why don't you go to the Graveyard of Gods alone?" "North Sea, you should leave," Qing Tong suddenly said, and sent the guest off. Gong Juanzi's expression changed slightly, and he looked at him again. Without saying anything, he moved and left in an instant. After he left, Qing Tong sighed softly and looked up at the sky. "You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.